Where'd my chat go? Morning, guys. Welcome. You know what I'm missing? There. Yeah, so it's with these solo ones. I'm just not ready for them. What can I tell you? There's what I'm looking for. Image. Gotta add the red morning thing. How you guys doing? How's things been going? How's your day treating you? You're gonna have a fun episode today. No Carl, unfortunately. I know. I miss him too. But hey, he's doing well in his things that we shall not talk about that he's doing. Oh, I don't have the old logo. Maybe we'll go old school. I don't know if anybody has been around long enough to remember this one. Does it work? It does work. Yeah, that old school one. So in my gaming channel streams, I tend to have some nice chill beats in the background, and I thought, why don't we do this today? Because it's like 9 in the morning for me. It's God knows what time for you guys in Europe or America, or heaven forbid. I'm actually curious if any West Coasters here. Yeah. First things first, how flexible is success, Ryan? Are you asking me how flexible success is, or how flexible success Ryan is? In which case, I'm moderately flexible. But if you're asking how flexible success is, it's absolutely flexible. I saw your guys' chat early on there. Like button is alpha. I love this shit. I was thinking too. Hey, do you guys remember Stefan Molyneux? Whatever happened to that guy? After he got booted off the internet, he just kind of disappeared and never came back. I mean, even what's his face there, Yiannopoulos. Even he came back with his weird Miami Vice scared straight thing. Baby, my wife never wants to F, bro. I do what you say, doesn't work. Well, I doubt it, because if you did, you wouldn't be asking me that weird question. I've never been here, and I've never promised to be here to help a guy smash his wife. Well, I mean, I did as a marketing term, but that's not the point of it. It's the bait and switch, right? How's the levels, by the way? Are these good? Yeah, all I care about is how flexible the women are. Stefan couldn't make omelets. Sad. I just realized, yeah, he was like the pioneer. Him and what were the other guys? Amazing Atheist in that, where they just sit in front of the camera and give you like 1984. You know, hey, you know what's wrong with the liberals and ethnic something or other? Levels are alpha. Good. I just want to make sure this is a good listening experience for you, because I'm noticing a lot of people have podcasts. I didn't know how many people on the internet do podcasts and how many of them are just trash and garbage. And I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not adding to this problem. If you live in Romania, how flexible is success? Does Romania use the euro, or do they have their own economy? That's a good question. They run a loo, and it's, oh, dude, 30 cents to the Canadian dollar. I'll tell you right now, I'm a multi-millionaire in Romania. That's awesome. Good for me. Yeah, everybody and their grandma. But at the very least, we're going to try and do some good things. Okay, so I'll get you the roadmap here. So we talked about it a bit on the Digital Ryan channel. If you guys have subscribed, you're not subscribed. Hey, Mustang, how's it going? And it was mostly about how guys can pull failure out of the jaws of success. I think that's a good way to put it, but it's kind of like morphed into more in that. So I'm checking with my notes. And it's funny, I've got a bunch of like points I want to hit about the 3 dysfunctional captains, which is pretty much a cornerstone in the red pill praxeology that you guys know and love. Next thing is what we talk about when we talk about dread. I actually haven't talked about dread in a while, which is amazing, because it's kind of, again, one of the cornerstones. These two things are the most important parts of being relationship and red pilled, but nobody talks about it because we're too busy yelling at TikToks. Which, by the way, can I just laugh? Who was that goof? What was his name? He was like the most popular YouTuber for the longest time. Popular YouTuber 2000s. I'll remember his name in a second here. No such thing as failure, only delayed success, as long as you're willing to keep trying. Well, that's kind of like the way you're framing it doesn't really match what I'm doing here. Like, you're not wrong. But here, again, with everything, it's about framing. God damn, what was that guy? He used to just watch videos and then comment on them. He had the little room behind him with all the posters up on the wall and stuff. Oh, he got crypto rich. Well, good for him then. Yeah, what's up? Hope your morning is better than mine. Well, I mean, Depends. How's your morning going so far, casual? I'd hate to hear something bad. Damn it, I can't remember. He's like a dark-skinned guy, too. It's not PewDiePie. All right, whatever. Ah, that's it. Ray William Johnson. Thank you very much. I think it's funny because I was looking at the TikTok when I see everybody does TikToks too, right? We're like, watch TikToks and react to them. I'm like, we've basically come full circle and we're back to Ray William Johnson YouTube. It feels very first year YouTubey, which is kind of nice. And then with, Fresh and Fit, the most popular YouTube guys ever, doing their Jerry Springer, Maury Povich thing. Except for, unfortunately, you are the father. Anyways, back to the topic here. So the Dread one, and then did I bite off more than I could chew? Did I act too fast? A little bit of Rambo stuff in there. I figure a lot of you guys are new. There's a huge influx of people to the channel, so it's worth going over that. Cyclic behavior, which is like super important. Reward good behavior, don't reward bad behavior. I'm sure you've heard that. And then when it comes to the topic of the podcast, which was people who fail after succeeding, there's two ways I've seen it happen. There's the guys who have never been successful, and then when they get successful, they still act like failures, like the former fat kid that still acts like a fat kid even though he's shredded. And then there's some guys who used to be Chad and they get back to it, and they kind of fail in their own ways too. But it's interesting because it's happened so... Like, I get why Rollo has his whole, like, these things happen in cycles, and then he brings up Matthew Hussey and all that stuff, because it's like... He did this stuff in like the 2000s, and then in the 2010s, I was seeing the exact same thing, and now in the 2020s, you guys are going to see the exact same thing. So luckily, you're going to have a whole bunch of people hitting you with like the cycle of how guys seem to act with media in general, but mostly like from a red-pilled perspective. And it's like a guy's life cycle of success and failure, and it kind of... I'm not going to lie though, guys. You're going to leave this like depressed because you're like, geez, no wonder why feminists won. Guys are just pieces of shit. Oh. Anyways, what I miss here? Success, Better Bachelor. See, I don't really know him that well. Like, I know he does like sad MGTOW talking stuff into the camera. I never watched it. Not really too concerned with MGTOW content because just bitching about how the things are doesn't really appeal to me, and I'm actually surprised people find it entertaining at all. But I mean, on a personal level, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about him, so it's not like... And F went full racist now, hey? Oh, I'm afraid to ask. Are they using the C word that gets you banned from the Twitch chat? That's too bad. Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Yeah, learning from failures, form of success. So yeah, okay, so here, let me get the framing of this better, because I think you guys are kind of looking at it the same way that most positivity YouTube channels talk about, with that like Naval, hey, failure is just success, but over a longer time. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'll use a good example here. Fat guy starts losing weight, loses a bunch of weight, becomes a skinny guy again, right? Has problems talking to people because he's used to being that fat guy that everybody makes fun of. And he's thin and everybody treats him well, but he acts weird. Everybody's like, why does he act so weird? And it's because he's acting like a fat guy would. So he knows I have to be the funny guy in the room or nobody will like me. I desperately want people to like me because they always just made fun of me for being the fat kid. And he has a raging hard-on, hates fat people. Why don't you lose weight, you fat fuck? Because every time he sees a fat guy, he sees his form of failures. Now, this isn't something that like, well, it's just success over a longer timeline. It's not what I'm talking about. It's he literally thinks about himself as his failure state because that's all he's known. And then when he gets to a success state, he sabotages his success by still acting like that same old failure. And for a lot of guys, they just don't have the wherewithal to adapt to their new environments. And that's really, if you want to get into what Red Pill is all about, it's about adaptation. It's about adaptation, navigation. It's not about saving the West like everybody kind of claims. It's not about slaying as much poon as you can, although you do want to have the ability to if you want. It's not about holding women accountable or what other nonsense. Let me know in the chat, what other nonsense do people tell you about? Yeah, inner game, absolutely. I don't want to just use the term inner game though, because by itself, it's just like an empty container word and it doesn't really tell you anything. Everybody says inner game and then they start to think that means ayahuasca and Finding Jesus inside the bottom. Yeah, Jesus is always there at the end of it. I don't know why. Everybody does enough drugs to tranquilize a donkey, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what's at the end of that? Jesus. I'm like, no, I think that's just like a withdrawal symptom, but I'm sure the Jesus guys really love the fact that you're like, hey, I found Jesus just like you, except for I had to take a bunch of fentanyl to get there. Yeah. Ooh, is Johnny in the chat? If so, hey, I see somebody shout out MLD. Well, if you're here, I can't see your chat, but hey, it's good to see you. Yeah, understood. You're right. It's about adapting your environment. Well, that's the like, and it's not. I guess this is something else. I have to do a lot of fucking prefacing here, man. It's not so much right or wrong or true or false. I'm just talking straight utility. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard at some point the Rollo rant about. You know, I really don't like that stupid thing. Let me get rid of that. I thought it was a good idea, but it just looks lame. There we go. We'll go plain and bare bones. But chugging meth to find Jesus. Jesus. Yeah, utility. I'm sure you've heard Rollo talk about doing praxeology, right? Everybody always accuses this stuff of being an ideology or, you know, the He-Man Woman Haters Club. I'm going to call it Preface. Such a very unassuming name. Become the best version of yourself. Again, it's another one of those terms that it's not wrong, but having a longer form conversation like this is not a meaningful term to use, and it's not helpful, so I'm not going to use them. What is this, jargon-free shit? What is he talking about? I know, it's amazing you can talk about this stuff without having to read the glossary of terms. I haven't had my coffee yet. You can tell because I'm a little bit rambly. Apologies for that. Hitting it now. There we go. Yeah, so praxeology. It's not an ideology. It's not a philosophy. It's not. There's no such thing as a red pill truth. There's no red pill philosophy. We're not a cult or a clubhouse or anything. It's just a bunch of dudes swapping notes. And I am surprised how hard people fight that very, like, everybody, whether you, like, the guys that hate the red pill, I get that. You hate the branding, but whatever. You hate the red pill, and yet, like, the easiest thing you could do is stop making it into, like, Darth Vader. It's like just a bunch of dudes swapping notes. If you want to hate it, that's fine. These dudes are fucking assholes. And that's all you have to say. No, you have to make it up like these guys are storming the Capitol and, you know, bringing back the white ethno-cent. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? And then the people that like it, they're like, it's the truth. It's the way. It solved everything. It fixed my marriage. You know what? Probably, like, I don't even know if I should go here, but you know what? Fuck it. Let's go here. I think one of the biggest signs that you didn't vet your guru is if he takes credit for your success. I really do. I remember it was an old field report, like 5 years ago. It was Wine More Please, myself. You guys don't know him. He's been on the channel a few times. Switched on guy, really awesome. And some guy came in with this heartfelt thank you post. He's like, oh, guys, you did amazing. Because of you, my wife is this. And because of you, my life is this. I'm earning more money. All the success metrics you could think of. It's like, you guys did it. And of course, Wine More Please and his usual self is like, F you. We didn't do shit. You did everything. And he banned the guy. And the guy got into mod mail and he was losing his mind. What did you guys do? I was just trying to tell you how awesome you were. He's like, we didn't do anything. There's no way you went through, like, I think he was like a year and a half, completely turned his life around. And you're like, I can't believe you went through a year and a half reading nothing but Mental Point of Origin and then come here and have the balls to thank us for all your work. Like, you're an idiot. You haven't done shit. And I don't think that it clicked for the guy, at least not right away, but hopefully eventually it did. Still made me laugh. This is already sweetened, by the way. There you go. Look at that. Even the couple, even when we're working, we got time to give each other coffee. Anyways, enjoy, boys. Anybody who's got the merch cup, chime up in the chat. I want to give you a super thank you. But yeah, just a lot of guys don't get it. And so, like, you know, it's like everybody. You get thank yous in the chat or thank yous in DMs or whatever. And I get it, the polite thing. Hey, no problem, as long as you're crushing it, right? But you just got to remember, and it's a good way to keep from buying your own hustle, is to realize the job from this side of the mic and from that side of the mic. That side of the mic's the hard one. I've been in that position. I've been in a position where life really sucked. You know, all the stuff that I talk about, most of the time it's come from personal experience, thank God temporary, but That's where all the work happens. That's where all you have to change up your mental models. You have to be the fat kid who starts thinking like a swole dude or a shredded man. You have to be the former, what do they call it, beta bucks, and starts acting like Chad. You got to be the guy who like fits into his own skin. And it's hard because we're hardwired to kind of stick with our patterns, right? So if you've always been like the dork that doesn't get laid, and then all of a sudden you start getting laid, you're going to keep acting like the dork who didn't get laid, and how easy it isn't. How hard is it to change who you are? And that's why I hate that. Just be yourself. I'm like, no, you don't want to be yourself. Yourself last year was a piece of shit. Why don't you be yourself today? This guy's pretty slick. And if not, go be yourself tomorrow. That guy's even better. Yeah, fake it till you make it. There's a mids watch coming out in that. I think you're going to like it. Jack 10 and I were just like throwing shit at each other for that one. Had a nice big fight like a bunch of women. I've read your book. Can you explain your channel categories and what I should watch first? What takes priority? There's so much content and so little time. Oh, Wet Beaver looking for wood. Thank you for the 25 HRKs, whatever that means. All right, straightforward, flat out. Depends what you're looking for. If you're here to be entertained, I would say just pick the red-pilled coffees and the chick talks. If you're here to actually learn shit, there's only one thing you need to go, the sidebar. That's it. You don't need relationship breakdowns. You don't need red-pilled coffees. You don't need the chick talks. You don't need red morning. You don't need... what other shit do I do on this one? You don't need the on points. That's just talking about first year Royce. All you need is the sidebar series. And even then, you don't even have to watch it. Like, the sidebar series is basically a series of books, posts, and content that have come out over the years and have been vetted by... tons of men swapping notes about the stuff that works the best. So No More Mr. Nice Guy is dealing with unattractive behaviors like codependence, hiding the badness, putting women on a pedestal, that sort of stuff. When I Say No, I Feel Guilty is assertiveness training, teaches you how to be more assertive. Practical Female Psychology is more about understanding the dating game on like a nuts and bolts level. Why Women Have Sex is from David Buss and Cindy Minson. It's more so to understand that your mental models about, the sexual marketplace, men and women in relationships is wrong. But those are basically it. But again, on the series, you'll see there's a list of stuff there. And if you ever do, just go to the subreddit, the Married Red Pill subreddit, and look at the sidebar there. And the Red Pilled subreddit, and look at the sidebar there. Those two things, all you need. Everything else is fluff and marketing, and is just a waste of time. Except for this show right now. Yeah. If that helps you anyway. Anyways, what was I talking about just before? The mental models? No, I wasn't on the roadmap yet. Help me out here, guys. You know me, I get falling down those rabbit holes. Oh, praxeology. Yeah, so just praxeology, just swapping notes. And I always love it when people ask, like, well, what should I do? And then the answer is always the same. Well, what do you want? And then the answer to that's always the same. I don't know. To which the last answer is, well, there's your answer. Figure that out first. It's always funny. It's like, what do you want? And you get to a lot of guys, just like, they don't even know what success look like. So they just latch on to the first metric that makes sense. That's why, like, I love looks, money, game. I get it as a stopgap. But, like, if you don't know why you want looks, money, or game, then why are you doing it? Well, it's because somebody online told me. Oh, really? Yeah. It's great. Things get better when I do looks, money, game. That's great. So what point do you have you out enough? Like, how much money do you need? What's your number? Well, I don't know. Well, how much muscles do you need? What's your ideal weight? Well, I don't know. Well, how much game? What notch count do you need? Well, I don't know. And for those guys that don't know, that's how you get that John Anthony crap where you have to make up sleeping with 1,300 women in that absolute garbage stuff there. So it's always funny. That's actually from the book. How much do you want? What do you want for money? I've got a number. Do you guys have a number? Doesn't mean you can't make more. It just means you need a number. Because if you don't get a number, then you end up like one of those guys, like workaholics, and you work 20 hours a day, and all you do is market. You build a bunch of money, but your health is shit, and you got a cocaine addiction now, but you've made like $20 million, and you're just like, yeah, this is great. What's the other one? Muscles. I don't even want to get into the body dysmorphia shit. You want to be one of those guys. It's like, I just want to be in shape to look hot and be attractive and healthy. And next thing you know, you're taking 300 milligrams of, or deciliters. What do they use? The moles? I don't know. Either way, 3,000 milliliters of like Trembolone every day. You haven't seen your neck in 3 years, and your heart's about, this big and surrounded by fat. But it's hard because you can't walk to a guy whose life is in shambles, right? And say, hey, you need to start coming up with a vision. And he's like, how about I stop these fires out first? And that's where all of this stuff comes in handy, right? The looks money or looks muscles, game and frame, the inner game, all the container words, the be your best self. That shit works great because you ain't shit. And that's okay. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how you got there. I'm gonna make that the title. You ain't shit, and that's okay. And that's okay. Stole that title from a really good book. You guys should check it out by the self. Do you want to die in milliliters? I've drawn a blank right now on the measurements they use. I know there was like... I'm getting all mixed up between moles, whatever. Nanoliters. That's the one. Nanoliters. Nanoliters is the measurement. Don't use milliliters. Oh, too funny. Thank you, Jive. Holy jeez. That's going to get flagged for bad information. Yeah, here, don't eat paint on that one. And don't inject milliliters of testosterone. Yeah, I want fun and games because it's fun. Yeah. I mean, we're not talking fun and games. That's leisure time is leisure time. For me, most of the reason why I work is so I can afford myself more leisure time. Of course, during COVID, I don't have a place to spend it, but whatever. Yeah, chasing looks, money, game, and fame without actually like having a goal to it is how you end up with like Jack Murphy. Chasing money no matter what the cost. Then he's like, oh, I didn't consider the consequences of my actions. That filming myself shoving stuff up my ass, probably not a good look for when I'm doing a TradCon fantasy. Or all these guys that were chasing fames, like working with the Roman McClay guy. Yeah, this was great. Collaboration's how you build. I'll collaborate with anybody. And then all of a sudden, oh, he murdered 6 people and I never read the book that I praised. Well, that's not good. Mustang, off topic. So when you can, old plate, lives with a guy now, calls me wanting to catch up, telling me how bored in life she is. Am I going to get an earful or a handful? Stupid question. Dude. The book is entertainment. I've had that situation. That was Charlie. That was... Oh, is it chapter 10? The, You Keep My Hat, I Got Another One? Is that what I kept the title as? I can't remember anymore. But yeah, it's... She's bored. She's bored. She's bored and she's putting feelers out there. You might smash because of this. You might not. She might be just getting a cock tease thing to see if like, yeah, if I could and that's good enough for me. Could be a bunch of different things. But at the end of the day, you just got to realize she assumes that you're still under orbit. Things probably are bored with the new guy. Things are going poorly with the new guy. Well, I'm going to call up the old guy and see what happens. You know? There we go. Let's get in a comfy position. Yeah. Get that don't eat paint merch in there. Good, good, good. It is a really nice shirt, by the way. I actually enjoy it. I would wear it every day, except for that's kind of weird. But I do enjoy the days where I can wear the merch stuff. It's just comfortable. Comfortable, fits well. I'm actually very surprised by it. And it's cotton, none of that polyester crap. If you guys don't, store.ryanstone.com. Go check it out for yourself. And if you're part of like the community on the Digital Ryan channel, you guys get like an at-cost merch code, which is just awesome. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yeah. Actually, to be fair, I'm kind of having more fun with the chat here. I have my roadmap of what we're going to talk about today, but I'm having more fun just talking to you guys, especially Mustang. Like that one, surprisingly common. Like you and I aren't the only 2 guys that have done it. A lot of guys have it. But just realize, like, if you get back together, you're going to figure out why. If you just want to play her when she's bored, that's fine, but lead with extra alpha, man. Don't give any of that comfort reminiscing stuff, because as soon as you get into that friend zone world with that, that's a world of hurt. Again, Wet Beaver looking for wood. 25 HRKs. I am here to learn. I found the sidebar playlist. Read a lot of Rollo and Alan Rajan Curry Mode 1. Got any books to recommend game in general? Oh, dude. Like I'm telling you, it's literally the sidebar. Here's what you do. For everything you would want to know about Red Pill, and this doesn't matter who you are, you got Robert Glover, No More Mr. Nice Guy. You've got Manuel Smith, When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. You know what, let me just pull up the list so I'm not... Pull up the list so I'm not making mistakes here. Married Man Sex Life Primer by Athel K. And why do they have the Joseph South one? The Predatory Female. Makes no sense. Tactical Guide. Why are those prerequisites? Dude, they've changed the sidebar. I don't know if I'd put Tactical Guide to Women as the number one thing, but whatever. Anyways, the year one Rational Male. So if you've read Rational Male or not, all I'm saying is the stuff you need to read from his is his first year stuff from his blog. Everything else is good. It's great, but the core is first year. Same thing with first year Royce. And that's Chateau Artiste. Those are blogs, but I think there's a book for Chateau Artiste now. As well as... Actually, you know what? I almost want to not say it anymore. They used to call it the Male Action Plan, but now it's called the Mindful Attraction Plan by Athel K. It's kind of lost a little something, but it's still recommendable. And then Book of Puck. Beyond that, most of the stuff tends to be... Oh, 48 Laws of Power. I don't know why I keep forgetting that one. But I put that at the tail end because it's useful. But it's one of those books you want to read it and then immediately forget about it until situations come up where you recall something from the book. You don't want to use it as like as a how-to guide, right? The rest is mostly just like old essays, various different places. My big goal has been kind of to put them together in a place that's like concentrated for the people like you, as well as now the videos. Don't get me wrong, the videos are a supplement too. I leave out way too much stuff for you to like just say, I watch the videos, we're good. The videos are there for additional context, some more nuance, maybe some caveats or things that have changed over the years. Like, do not use them as a replacement for the books. Let me think. Yeah, so from the Red Pill proper, it's mostly essays and posts and stuff like that. So that's about it for books anyway. Beyond that, and then after that, it's usually like 6 months of work for somebody. But once you're at that point, then depending on what you want, there's a whole bunch of places you can go. But for the most part, you don't need me to guide you at that point. And then Kurt's asking here if you think there's a fragmentation in the men's movement because there's so many different things to so many people. Well, there's fragmentation in the men's movement because we're not women. I think people forget that. Everybody thinks like, yeah, we need to act like men. Let's act together, like a community, like a group, like a solid, herd of rhinos that's circling the wagons. It's like, no, that's how chicks act. Like we've been raised to be broken women for so long, we forget how guys act. Guys are mission focused. That's actually something from Ian Ironwood. He calls it the male social matrix. It's a really good one. How guys... So the way we self-organize into groups is based on a common goal. I'll use a like Evo Psych type example. Hunting. You want to hunt. That's the goal. And then people get together based on their, based on that goal. They're not there to collaborate or meet or, be friends or whatever. It's no, we're here to hunt and I need you to help me hunt. There's an initial testing, initial competence testing. Like, do you know how to hunt? Do you know how to hold the spear? Guys will bust your balls, see how you take it, all that kind of stuff. But then once that's done, you're in. You're in the group, the tribe, as they always like to call it, right? And there's mechanisms if you do things like that fuck up the hunt. We got ways to handle that, but you will be on point. It takes like a really big screw up, though, to get kicked out. And then beyond that, most people don't care about anything outside of that. Women are different. Women are immediate acceptance into the group. One big happy family. It's like you said, the lack of fragmentation, the anti-balkanization. That's women. But the problem is, once they're in that group, it's immediate social posturing, cutthroat, that kind of stuff. Very, very non-harmonious groups. If you did that to a guy's group, you basically screw up the hunt because everybody's so busy posturing like housewives in New York that they don't do that. So that's why. I mean, plus we're not going to agree on everything. Like, what's the red pill? What's the red pill ultimate goal? The goal is to live for yourself and nobody else. Do you think trads want that? No. Ultimately, trads want a world that's got like a roadmap. Tell me what to do and tell me everything will be okay if I do it. I want dad. That's why they loved Jordan Peterson and then they hated Jordan Peterson and then they loved Jack Murphy and then they hated Jack Murphy and they're going to love a new dad. It's just like a wandering orphan kid looking for dad. Eventually they find their way to Jesus, but Jesus doesn't give them shit because the priests keep letting women into the pews and they're like, well, this isn't fun. I just wanted to watch football. And yeah, pickup artists, same thing. They just pick up just about getting laid. That's it. They got a different goal. So when there's something that maybe doesn't get you laid, but it helps you to adapt to the modern, sexual marketplace, probably going to be some differentiation there. Plus, the PUAs don't really have any like idea of where they want to go. It's just getting laid. So you're going to get all kinds of weird mindsets. So yeah, we were never meant to get along, ever. And I'm surprised where people think that way. I really am. Which is funny, because even though that question was off topic, it kind of is topic for You Ain't Shit, and that's okay. So thank you for that. Yeah, and so there's an back to the topic. There's an ego attached to a guy when he's, living in a life of quiet misery. There's another concept. This one's it's going to be on, I think I've kind of hinted at it a few times in Mids watches. It's going to get its own thing. It's the 3 dysfunctional captains of the red pill. And this is like a concept of every guy who's finally at a point of desperation where he types something like, and it's always the same, like, my wife won't fuck me. Types it into the search bar, finds his way to the married red pill. 3 archetypes, generally speaking. First one is the captain with the drunken captain with the begrudging first officer wife. You get the references here. It's like a naval reference. The idea is the guy, maybe he used to be on top of the world. Maybe he never was. The girl just wants a man to feel safe and secure around. And, that's shit there. But because he's such a slacker, she's had to pick up the reins. She's very resentful for it. Those guys, they tend to have a very easy run on them. Because then it's just, okay, well, step up and be the kind of man that you were expected to be. Your life will get better because everybody around you will start treating you as more. They basically want you to succeed. It's not a common case, but it happens. And then the second one is the captain with the constantly complaining passenger. And that is neurotic girls, what do they call them? Avoidant behaviors. A lot of stuff from transactional analysis in there. Basically like basket case chicks and white knighting. That one is a bit different because a guy has to realize that, sometimes cutting the dead weight might be the best approach. Sometimes you just need to have that little bit of extra guidance, but only if she's worth it. There's a whole codependence aspect to that you got to get out of the way. And that's kind of what gets into what I'm talking here about failures from successes, which I'll get to that in a bit. And then the third one is the chick that never wanted a captain anyway. And those are the girls, a lot of like, what do they call it? A lot of like childhood trauma for whatever reason. Maybe dad put cigarettes out on her head. Maybe Uncle Touchy got invited to Christmas one too many times. I'm not going to speculate on it. Just realize something happened. And women have this thing where they like to control their environment. It makes them feel comfortable. That's why nagging exists. Girls want to be able to control everything around them so it's safe. But then they get bored with that. So it's this constant fight to run away from the anxiety that makes them enjoy themselves. Oh, I like this one. What is this? Echo Chambers. Oh, that's a nice like song. Sarah the Instrumentalist. She's all right. I might make that a Red Pilled Coffee background tune. So for those ones, they just want a floor mat. I know, like, there's people in my family who have husbands like that. It was kind of crazy to watch, and they wanted a weak man. And here's the funny part. So from a guy's perspective, when he's that guy and he realizes, like, this is untenable. It's nice that she takes care of me, but she's basically turned me into like a little bitch boy. And he gets his shit together, which is funny because it makes the relationship worse. Because she wants a floor mat. I want a guy that I can have my thumb over so he never has to act like my asshole stepfather, So he gets his shit together, and at that point, the guy has to make a choice. It's like, are you so attached to this relationship that you're willing to give up on your dreams of self-autonomy? Or are you accepting that by making yourself into the man you want to be, you're most likely going to kill this relationship? And are you okay with that? And there's a whole thing on there, but that's kind of off topic for this one, so whatever. But TikTok says different. Yeah, TikTok. Dude, the relationship coaches and certified marriage counselors on TikTok are just ridiculous, man. I'm still laughing. I'm like, people still buy this garbage? If you just talk more, maybe she'd sleep with you. It's like, yeah, that's how it works. In time, we'll write a definitive book on how game relates to marriage, long-term relationships. Well, I'm working on it. I'm on the 3rd draft right now, which normally I start editing on a 2nd draft, but this one's just been a bit of a pain. It's actually been more research than writing, which is kind of crazy. Plus the Christmas season I took off, but yeah. So, you ain't shit and that's okay. Let's move on. What are we at here? 28. Wow, that was short. So I'm going to deal with Dread now. What the hell's the purpose of Dread? I'm sure if you guys... Has anybody here not heard about a red-pilled guy talking about Dread? Or at the very least, a feminist bitching about how Dread is manipulative and evil? If all red-pilled men did the work, no one would be watching your content. We'd be too busy. I mean, to be fair, sounds online. That wouldn't be the worst thing ever. If you don't know, he's in the chat saying, hey, if nobody was a piece of shit, nobody would watch your content. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad thing. I'm happy with that. Switch the content. I can always work something else. And to be fair, I think it'd be better. Like, instead of having to have the 900th video on, hey guys, 7 reasons why she won't sleep with you. Number 6 will surprise you. I could actually just start doing entertaining stuff. Like we had Savo. Captain Savo on Rule 0. Was it last week or the week before? I don't remember. But that's the kind of stuff I would, maybe not rapping, but that's the stuff I'd like to do. He's making creative content for guys who are switched on and have their shit together. Wouldn't that be great if you put on YouTube and everything here was just like entertainment that appeals to a switched on guy's sensibilities? Oh, that'd be wonderful. That's half the reason I make content is because I can't watch anything right now because it's all annoying me. I can only watch Die Hard for the 500,000th time until I start to get bored with it, and I've only got 7 watches left until I get there. Okay, so Dread game. So you're doing it in the Philippines, almost as work as well. I think you're running off an old model of Dread. I know pickup artists talk about Dread too, the idea. Now, originally... Alright, so I gotta title this properly. Dread. This ain't your grandpa's Dread. Yeah. I like that as a title. This ain't your grandpa's Dread. This is new. It's radical. It's extreme. Sega! There's an 80s reference for you guys if you like it, or 90s reference. Originally, from the pickups guys, the idea of Dread was the understanding that desire comes at the tail end of anxiety. Remember when I just talked to you guys before about how... what was it called? How that girls like to control their environment around them for a feeling of safety and security? Absolutely. That's the beta side of things. And I'm going to use beta here in its proper red pill sense, not in the beta male sense that you guys see marketers use online. Beta is just comfort. The thing that makes the girl want to stay with you forever. Feels good and safe and secure. Wonderful stuff. Alpha's the desire stuff. Makes her want to sleep with you right now. You know, enthusiastically. So, women are always striving for comfort. The problem is women also get bored. And so they kind of like long for the excitement side of things. But it makes it feel anxious. And anxiety is kind of like... It doesn't feel good. It's like, you know how working out makes you feel really sore? And you don't like feeling sore generally, but you still go to the gym to work out. It's like that. Except for every time you're at the gym, you don't want to work out anymore. Hey, whammon, am I right, fellas? So you got to realize this is why women can't give good dating advice, because they're constantly trying to like... They love the feeling of excitement, of like the alpha stuff, the sexual desire stuff, but at the same time it's uncomfortable, and so they constantly fight against it to be calm, safe, secure. Problem with calm, safe, and secure is that it just kills the libido, which sucks for you as a guy. As a girl, they're explaining things that make their life wonderful, and then they get bored and then they go do something stupid. From a guy's standpoint, though, once you're in that bored situation, your life's over. It's like, oh, this is sick. This is disgusting. So, why is this not your grandpa's Dread? We'll get to that in 1 second, because I love your super chats. I'm just going to call you Mo, because I can't pronounce your first name very well. I keep screwing it up. Any advice for an aspiring YouTuber who wants to do non-red meat? I followed you for years and you're crushing it. You're going to have to do red meat, but for your first 100 videos, it doesn't matter what you do. Just keep doing things. It doesn't matter. Your first 150 videos are going to be garbage, and you're going to hate them, and they're going to suck. Your audio's going to suck. Your video's going to suck. Your lighting is going to suck. Your personality, the way you talk into a microphone is going to suck. You're going to stutter. Your eye movement's going to be weird. It's going to suck, and you just have to be okay with it. You're going to go for a full year until you can even get to your monetization point. I almost guarantee it. Once you're there, your content will start being better. But now you're going to see it as horrible, because all you're going to see is failures and stuff, right? Ooh, I see you, Shy. I'll get to you in a second here. We'll rant about that for a minute until we're on the topic again. Yeah. And on top of that, the one thing I could suggest more than anything is just don't be... Like, you got to think about what is it that you do that other people don't do. Oh, there's a couple like weird clips in there too. Fair enough. Because the last thing the world needs is one other person giving listicles of shit that they stole off of Rational Man without attribution. I would strongly suggest dive in as much to your personal experience as you can with your videos, because that's something that nobody else can do but you. If you have something you've done that's good, do that. If you have a talent that other people don't have, lean into that. But just reading off shit from Rational Mail is probably not the best. For example, in my case, the way I've pictured, like, what's my value add? What makes me any different than just watching Rolo's content? Well, it's because I spent 10 years OCD in this stuff while I was doing my military career, while I was doing my graphic design career, while I was doing my corporate career afterwards, and while I was doing my authorship career. This was always in the background. I did pick up back in the day, and so I've got a lot of information from a lot of different sources, and I can put it together. So you're not really listening so much to my, and there's my stuff in here too, but for the most part, what I'm doing is I'm showing you, it's almost like I'm like a historian. This is exactly how it used to be. He did this, he did this, he did this. And it's a lot of people can't do it because you have to invest a smack ton of time to be able to reference, hey, 6 years ago, somebody had this same problem. Here's what he did about it. Here, let me show you. You hate your chat enough not to go on a rant every time we ask a dumbass question. Fair enough. And then Shy, Drummer, and Kit, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hello, fellow Canadian open-air convict. Yeah, rest in peace, Jim's in Toronto. If you guys don't know, cases went up. I mean, deaths are down to the lowest they've ever been, and so are hospitalizations, but cases are up, so let's shut everything down, and everybody's pissed, man. The businesses were just starting to get comfortable with being open. Restaurants were just finally starting to get there, and they shut it all down. Laid off movie theater workers, laid off restaurant employees, and they fucked up the EI that they were doing for them, which just gets digging us into debt anyway. My real estate as a hedge against inflation is just like, I've made more money. I mean, I've made more fiat currency just from watching the real estate market like tank the inflation damage than I have from crypto and investing and YouTube and authorship all at once. I'm like, geez. Dollar's shit, but then again, America is inflating their currency so bad, we're kind of inflating it just enough that we can still export goods, but yeah. But it's good. We bought some new equipment. Luckily enough, the Canadian Tire was all up on there. We got this new, I don't know what it's called, but it's like, there's two bars. It's like a seahorse or sawhorse. Two metal bars. It's going to be good for dips, you know, incline benches. Apparently I can even do some like, you know, what are those ones where you sit up on the bar and like Universal and like do crunches upside down? Apparently got all kinds of shit there. So between that and my power blocks that I still have from the last 15-month lockdown, we're good to go. Stand-up comedy. Dude, that'd be fun. I'd probably suck at it for the first 100 sets I did, but that would be fun. It's always one of those things I'm like, yeah, I could give that a shot one day. Anyways, your grandpa's Dread. So what is Dread now? Well, Dread now, funny enough, that's been where the second book kind of started. It's like how to encapsulate what we've been doing now into Dread. And it's hard because, like you said, you ask 10 people, you get 12 different explanations. But for the most part, it is going from a state of being taken for granted to a state where you become your own mental point of origin. I think that's the most clinical way I could say it. The way I put it in my own personal sense is it's like a monkey branch with an olive branch. Monkey branch being when girls want to leave to another guy. It's an old MGTOW term. They don't just dump the guy, then go find a new guy. They wait, they find a new guy, and then they let go of that branch when they go on to a new one. But since a lot of the red pill is just female strategies adapted for male sensibilities, that's why I add the olive branch, because a lot of times the guys just want to be, you know, don't want to be taken for granted, want to be, you know, sexed enthusiastically and often enough and have a pleasant life, right? It's very, very simple goals. And if the wife starts to do that and kicks her stuff into full gear, then great, sure, we'll stick around. Truce. Sometimes they're gone too, but that's a choice you got to make for yourself. So that's what Dread is now. And there's two parts to it. And it always gets back to the old, like, pickup stuff. It's be attractive, don't be unattractive. Be attractive. That's the stuff they actually had it. It was like we always get so compartmentalized with this stuff. It's so weird. I always feel cringy even talking about it, but it was like, you know, working out, losing weight, dressing better, your hygiene, all that stuff, all that, you know, self-improvement, jerking off stuff. That's under the be attractive stuff. Nobody ever has a problem with that. And the response you'll always get from people that run you up the flagpole, thanks Rollo, is, well, everybody does that. Why do you guys need to be in a forum to talk with nerds about that? It's like, well, yeah. You want to poke at that first half. The second half is something, though, called active dread. Actually, I should say boundaries go in that first part, too, before I go on. Boundaries. And a lot of guys get boundaries wrong because they don't have what's called a mental point of origin. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, well, here. You get a guy to talk about his problems, and I'll tell you right then and there, within the first 3 sentences, whether he has frame or not. Because who's the main character when he's giving you like a field report of his situation? Who's the main character in his story? And you look at that, and more often than not, you're going to see, you know, my wife did this, she did that, she did this, she's such a bitch, and blah, 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 and she doesn't do this, and she doesn't this, and it pissed me off. And you realize he's basically writing his life from the female perspective. And so he's essentially codependent, validation seeking. He's got no mental point of origin, no frame. So right there, you're like, okay, so you need to learn. And then you get these guys, you understand the concept of boundaries, and they're like, so if I stand up for myself, she'll stop treating me badly? It's like, no, that's the problem with framing it, right? Framing. How do you frame the situation? Well, he's framing it from the feminine perspective. Your boundaries are about manipulating a girl to do what you want, and that doesn't work. And that's why a lot of guys get frustrated. Like, this stuff doesn't work. I tried it, and she didn't act right. It's like, well, of course not, because you're basically thinking that you're some kind of, like, magic wand that you can wave at a girl and she starts acting right. Hold women accountable. It's such horse shit. I'm sure it sounds great when you're watching, you know, I always love shitting on Kevin Samuels or Fresh and Fit, but the content, not the people. I don't know the people very well. All that hold women accountable MGTOW content's like, yeah, you teach that bitch a lesson. It's like, that's not how it works, man. Shy Drummer Kit, thank you. Another $5 super chat. I remember asking a question about the jab. Makes you a misogynist, racist by our great leader Trudeau. Yeah. He just threw out all the stops on that one. He might as well just called everybody who didn't get the 4th booster jab Hitler. But I mean, whatever. I don't want to turn this into a COVID rant, and don't get me wrong, I desperately want to take a whole hour just to rant about this shit from like 8 different angles. I'm trying my best here, guys. I'm only made of meat. I'm not a robot. But I mean, whatever. They're gonna keep trying to pressure. Quebec just tried no liquor sales unless you've had a booster or 2 jabs plus a booster. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to go after the booze. I think Quebecers might get mad. But anyways. Where'd I leave off? Oh, yeah, the dread, the boundaries thing. So a guy has to understand that he is his own main character, which is funny because that's also the same description that The Last Psychiatrist, a great, you know, red pill adjacent blogger. Like, he's actually very red pilled, but the problem was he didn't know or really care about the community, but whatever, we'll steal his content because it works. When he talks about narcissism, because in the DSM, they talk about narcissism based on a couple qualities you got to look out for. I think I loved he had a reference to it. How did it work? I'm gonna butcher this. It's like water cooler telling a joke and you screw it up. But he goes, "What's a man? Well, a man is something that has the qualities of eyes, the quality of feet, and a quality of brain. Well, dinosaurs have that too. All right. Well, he's lacking the quality of dinosaurism. And the way that you're described, that way that you see how that awkward describes people. It doesn't really describe people, but it kind of picks and chooses a couple obvious traits and then removes the ones that don't count. That's how the DSM describes narcissism. And so he comes up with a much better one where it's a man's internal narrative, or anybody's internal narrative, becomes one where they are the central character of their story, of their, you know, internal story. And everything else is an archetype, a set piece, or a co-star. So it's like, you don't just have a neighbor that you're friendly with, and that's Jim, and we go out on Tuesdays. He goes, no, that's the Kramer. You know what I mean? An archetype. It's not actually a person. He's just there to fill a specific need, and everything becomes props to your one-man play. It's probably unhealthy, and that's why I call it unhealthy narcissism. Healthy narcissism is understanding that you are the central character to your own story, and that everything has to come through your perspective. How does this affect me? How does this help me get laid? Whatever you want to use. Just without that taking it too far where everything becomes a set piece and a stereotype. In this case, people are still people. They have their own wants and desires. You can't control them, but you can control what you put up with. Once a guy gets that, then he starts to understand boundary enforcement as not what can I do to get you to treat me better? It's what will or will I not put up with, and what do I have to prevent myself from dealing with things that I don't want to deal with. there's only really 3 tools you have anyway. There's attention. Like, you used to be, everybody's like, oh, you used to be able to hit your wife. And I'm like, yeah, sure, great. Good for you, man. There's no greater loss of frame than having to resort to violence, but I mean, fill your boots. If you want to just lash out like a child, you know, cops would love to have a talk with you. So really, you don't have the stick. All you can do is remove the carrot. You have your attention, you have your affection, you have your commitment. You pull them commensurate with whatever, you know, boundary got crossed. And those, nobody gives a shit about the tools unless you got a fairly high SMV or sexual market value they use it. So if you're not top tier, nobody gives a shit. Like, nobody will piss off, what's the guy's name? Jason Momoa. But, you know, Benny from the accounting office, they got no problem stepping over his boundaries. As a U.S. Navy veteran, I'm not a U.S. Navy veteran. I'm a Canadian naval veteran. Do I see war happening between China and the U.S.? No. Over Taiwan? No. Nobody's going to fight anymore, dude. The Navy isn't even a war Navy anymore. The Navy's about keeping shipping lanes open and the Straits of Hormuz open. That's it. And everybody makes so much money, nobody's going to close it off. There is no war coming. Unless somebody seriously goes and, like, nukes the world economy, it's not going to happen. If anything, your worry should be about an internal civil war, because you Americans are crazy. You guys just showed me that stupid video of that guy who had been taunted by his neighbors for a year and then just gunned them down. I was like, holy Jesus. It's like 3 months ago. Anyway, so that's boundaries, passive dread. Next part is active dread. And active dread is all the stuff where it's your stop becoming unattractive. This is where you learn what game is. You start gaming, you know, game your wife as practice, because if she can't stand you or she finds you unattractive, if you can practice through her when she's seen all your tricks and all your tips and all your shit, you know you've made progress. It's like if you can get that guy that hates you to admit you're right, then yeah, you're definitely right. But then it's not just her. Maybe she doesn't respond to it. Well, that's fine. You got to realize you got to get your needs met somewhere. So you go practice on other girls. It's called catch and release. You know, go flirt with other girls. Go try and get a number from her. You're not going to sleep with her. You set your own, you know, I'm going to go as far as I can and I'm going to stop there because I don't want to go further yet. You catch and release and you find, yeah, your wife's been frigid for a year or 2 years, but it's like amazing. All of a sudden you're like, I just talked to 10 girls and 3 of them want to date and meet up later. And I'm like, sex is super easy. Holy crap. And guys get that realization that I've been putting up with this shit. Why am I putting up with this shit so much? You don't know. Why have I? And they start to become their own mental point of origin where they realize, and this is the part where you try to get a guy, and this is the success metric from a red-pilled perspective. When you realize you don't have to put up with shit. All the problems that people talk about, all of their, my wife treats me like this, my job is this, you're like, I don't need this. But it takes a long time to get there because a lot of guys have concerns. And I've had episodes before where I talk about why guys have that innate walking on eggshells, fear of pissing off their woman thing, and I won't belabor it again here, but yeah. Once you've done all that work up to this point, you start to realize, like, yeah, these problems are self-inflicted. Like, all a guy's problems are opt-in problems. Every guy's problem is an opt-in problem. Opt-in problems. All a guy's problems are. That one pisses a lot of people off when I'm like, every male problem is an opt-in problem. MGTOWs hate it, but I'm like, you haven't been fucking, so I don't really need to hear your opinion on fucking, sir. Yeah, all guys' problems. What does that even mean? Well, let's go through the list of all the stupid, like, incel talking points. Oh, divorce rape. Well, that's an opt-in problem. What do you mean? Well, what do? You make her a stay-at-home mom? You tell the courts that basically you've decided she's a dependent and you'll take care of her for life? And then when you separate, they're like, well, you agreed to it, keep it up. And you're like, well, that's not fair. Well, what did you think was going to happen? That's not fair. Of course it's not fair. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Oh, Jesus Christ. Scutum Sibium 893. Thank you for the $10 super chat, sir. You're reading No More Mr. Nice Guy, trying to get switched on after a bad experience with my blue-pilled friend who does blue-pilled things. I also blame myself for feeling bad with the whammon. Or for being bad with it. Don't worry about blame. I think and this is like, it's not in any books. This is just me telling you. Like, this is Ryan's red-pilled perspective here, but blame and fault, that's shit that kids worry about. You know, oh, why don't you pick that stuff up? Well, I didn't do it. I don't care whose fault it is. Just pick it up. Well, it's her fault. She's been a bitch. Yeah, maybe. Who cares? Just get rid of those concepts, because that's ultimately looking for validation from some ambiguous force. Just look about whose responsibility is it to fix the problem that you're having, and it's really you. And I know this is a bit Jordan Peterson-y, but yeah, just take responsibility. Well, somebody has to get me laid. Might as well be me. Well, somebody has to not put up with bullshit. Might as well be me. Well, somebody's got to wipe my ass every day. Might as well be me. And to be fair, I can't think of another person on this planet who would wipe your ass every day without complaint except for you. So maybe start treating that guy like he's worth a damn. Putting in some effort. You don't want him to be a fat fuck, do you? You don't want him to be unattractive and incelibate, do you? No, well, help him go get laid. He'll wipe your ass every day without complaint. Help him out. But you'll like it, man. Like I said, it's going to be funny. Scootum, the one thing I will say, though, so do your field reports. Don't just do this in your head. Writing it down, even if you don't show it to anybody, is vitally important, because you're going to go back at your stuff and see the progress you've made. So write it down. You're looking for whose perspective are you talking about? What things are you avoiding? What things do you see that aren't important, but you're making a big deal about it? Where's your ego invested? And if you don't look back at your posts from a year ago and cringe about how lame that guy was, then you're not making progress. And you will, man. Every guy I know looks back at his early stuff and he's like, oh my God, who is this idiot? But it's good. Everybody's been there. So yeah, it's always fun stuff. Actually, you know what? That's probably one of my favorite parts, when a guy clicks and then he starts having revelations. Like, oh my God, I just figured this stuff out. I get it now. And this and this and this and this. And you're like, yeah, kind of like this post here we talked about at the beginning. He's like, oh yeah. And this one here. Oh yeah. And this one here. Oh yeah. And everybody realizes, like, and they kind of go through the sidebar a second time, and then a whole new perspective. You're like, holy shit, it was all right there, but I couldn't see it. Greatest example of that, Michael's story. Michael's story, it's on the sidebar series. It's on the sidebar in Reddit, but it's funny. It's about this guy who's like, I got a good job. I'm an engineer. I go to Christian. I'm waiting to find my wife. And all these chicks are just slutting around and having fun and drinking. And he's like, just so you guys know, there's no way in hell guy's gonna want a used up has-been like you. And the girl laughs in his face. Of course they are. And you know, when you first read it and you're in the anger phase, you're like, oh, these bitches need to be held accountable. Fuck these broads. And then you get past your anger phase, you get your game, you realize sex isn't the super important thing you made it out to be. And then you go and you read it again and you realize it's not actually a story about women being bad and pissing you off. It's a story about how guys need to come to terms with how the world works. You used to think the chicks in that one, the slutty college chicks, were the bad guys in that story. You're like, nope, it's actually the dude there with who refused to have fun because he thinks he's doing the right thing. He's the bad guy in the story. Well, that sucks. Dogmatic, is there ever a good time or reason to isolate? I mean, depends. What do you want? You know? What are you trying to do? If you're surrounded by a bunch of, like, let's say you're a crackhead and you're like, I'm going to stop doing crack because it's killing me. But all your friends are crackheads. You're probably going to want to isolate from crackheads, right? So, I mean, never say never. But if you're talking about like monk mode, no reason for it. Well, I need to work on myself. I need to get my shit together, so I can't talk to, and it's like, no. Law of power. Don't isolate yourself. Self-isolation is dangerous. If your problem is you're unattractive, you're not happy where you are with your life, if anything, you need to socialize and meet more people. Like, how do you think you're economically going to do better for yourself unless you make connections with people who have economic opportunities? Hey, we got a job that's opening up here. Hey, I need a business partner. Start in. Do you want to do some startup capital? Hey, I'm starting a YouTube channel. You got a pretty good voice. Do you want to do the audio for it? How are you going to find that shit when you're isolated? Why? Because you're going to the gym and reading books? Like, don't waste your time. I get it. Illimitable Man loves that shit, but I'm like, fuck that. No man's an island. Plus, who right now is the cheerleader of that go hide from the world in your cabin in the woods? Roman McClay. How'd that shit turn out for him? The only reason he did it and Roosh didn't is because, you know, Roosh is all talk. Ooh, he went there with Roosh. He's one of the 3 R's of the manosphere. Yeah, well, you know. It's not my fault. I'm not the one who went crazy after doing mushrooms. Fuck, a lot of chat. I'm trying to keep up. All right. To be fair, good problem to have. And don't take this the wrong way, guys, but we're finally big enough as a channel that I can't read all of your comments anymore. And so a lot of times it's just pure dumb luck if I see it or not. So don't take it personal. I'm only one guy Can't do too much. If it's something super cool, we got a lot of good mods that are switched on in the chat and they'll hit it up. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not bagging on Roosh because I don't like the guy or he hurt my family or anything like that. Nothing that. It's the same reason I bag on anybody. It's just gatekeeping. Gatekeep your spaces. Razor Fist. You guys don't know him. He's like a heavy metal, political, battle tech YouTuber guy. Pretty awesome. He's like American Bret Hart minus the working out. And he's having like a one-man crusade now against Battletech, which is like Gamergate shit. But he makes a good point. Like, gatekeep your spaces, because if you don't gatekeep them, people are going to come in that are basically going to ruin them. And it's funny, because the people who get the angriest about gatekeeping are the exact people that gatekeeping is meant to exclude. So yeah, they're supposed to get mad. Absolutely. So for Red Pill, I shitpost a lot on Twitter. A lot. And it's savage shit too, man. Savage. People always get surprised when they come here and they find heartfelt content. They're like, I thought you were a giant asshole. Shy Drummer and Kill, $5. Not enough super chats coming in though. Hey, you know what? I agree with you. There's not enough super chats and I wish there was more, and you guys are switched on and I love answering your questions. And to be fair, if you want to guarantee I'll see what you write, a super chat, because it gives it a big, colorful thing and it stays there so I can't miss it. But I'm not going to force you. But like I said, you want my undivided attention and a little bit of a rant, a super chat's the way to get there. Yeah, so gatekeeping. Yeah, so I've got no problem with people who do honest work and fail. Nobody should. Whatever. Nobody's supposed to be perfect every time. You see a guy do something that fucks up. Yeah, everybody fucks up. But if they're not here for rule 0, which is male sexual strategy, positive male identity. If you're talking red pill shit and you're not part of that, and you're just here for like your own bullshit, then I'm just like, I got no time for you. If you're incompetent and you're trying to learn, nothing but patience. If you're incompetent and nobody can tell you what to do, go fuck yourself. Now there's no entrance exam, there's no certification for red pill, so all we can do is shit post people who are retarded. Oh, that's gonna come back and bite me, the R word. I meant in French, le retard means late. Retarded is late in French. So when I say it, just assume I'm calling somebody late for dinner. Yeah, just here to talk shit, and that's fine too. Like I said, enjoy yourself. Where'd I leave off? Oh, the opt-in problems. Yeah, so like divorce rate. Well, it's because you make decisions that have consequences that force you to pay money. Don't get married. It's a great example. You need to get married. Marriage is great. You require marriage for a good family, because I read a statistic somewhere that said if you're not married, your kids will have crack addictions. And you're just like, that's a choice. If you want to get married, that's fine. But just go take a look at how divorce works in your state or province. And then you get back to me and then wonder, well, how can she do this? Well, you kind of walked into it, bud. Here's some things you can do. Yeah, wait until you become a cute VTuber girl. Even the super chats will fly faster. You can handle them. Ask me how I know. Is that all I have to do? Dude, I can do that. I think there's a filter in here. Rihanna. Or maybe I should, I asked you guys last time, by the way, the Torsha, that chick that Rolo keeps talking about. Let me know what you think. I haven't watched her content. I'll take your guys' word for it if it's worth, like, investing more into it. I think you guys said at the most it's just, like, entertainment stuff, but if she's not a pain in the ass, I'll maybe reach out. Get some of them super chats flying. Well, Ryan was hard for the stream then. Oh, I thought the time I usually set it for 6 minutes after, because I notice I'm always consistently 6 minutes after the hour. Oh, it is set for 9. It didn't save. Son of a bitch. Anyways, let's get back to the topic. We're fucking around here. Yeah, opt-in problem. So another one. Switched on, loves to stroke people's drama boner. Oh, fair enough. All right. Oh, whatever. Could be worse. I refuse to watch a woman speak on it. It's funny too. I'm with you. Like, they're not here for advice. Girls have no business offering guys advice on relationships and that for various reasons. I've had a couple girls on the show though. I think we did Danny California and then Gwen, another author on that. But it's never to hear their thoughts on Red Pill or ask them for dating advice. It's always just to get. There's always two parts to it. The first part is just so the audience can see, because this is what I hate about shitty Red Pill content. Is that they'll bring a girl on their show, and what do? They either defer to the girl as some kind of red pill guru sage, which I'm like, that's ridiculous. Why are you doing that? And then the second one is so they can yell at them, so everybody else can picture that's my bitch ex-wife he's yelling at and kicking off his podcast. Yeah, fuck that bitch. And I'm like, did you ever think when you're talking about changing men's lives on your goofy fucking show, whoever it is I'm talking about, generally speaking here, why don't you just try acting charming and attractive? Get a girl to fess up to some, stuff that maybe you have as a hard boundary, like, make a joke about tattoos, and then if she starts talking about her tattoo, you keep that in the back of your head and you're like, all right, I'm not marrying this girl, or whatever your complaints are. Find out she has an OnlyFans. Make a little admission about some goofy shit you did in college, and then she admits to her OnlyFans, and you laugh about it, you have a good time, and you smash, and you have fun. But then she's like, where's this going? And you're like, not to marriage, and then you just leave. That's fine. Yeah. But I was just I'm like, dude, if I ever end up on one of those kind of like drama bait shows, I would just sit there and be charming. That girl, don't you know that girl's got a notch count of 70? It's like, I don't care. Like, I do care in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm not going to give up the good woman I have now in the life to go pick up some thought that's only going to last 2 weeks, but I'm not going to tell her that. It's none of her business. That's my business. So yeah. But it'd be good just for some banter. Or maybe I can try the show Jack Murphy how you yell at a girl on stream without getting removed from the internet. Oh, Danny Arnold, $10 super chat. Sacre monde. I don't have a question right now, just throwing money at you. You son of a bitch. Here's a little something towards that Starbucks fund. Thank God, by the way. That's the only joy I have left in life until they open the gyms again in February. What is it? Sacre monde. Sacred world. Or was it monde? Yeah, monde is world. Sacred world. It's like a cuss word. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's the to be fairs. I get that. But we're kind of off topic here. Let's get back on topic. Opt-in problems. What about the kids? Well, that's an easy one. They aren't your kids. I'm surprised. The one thing I will give Jack Murphy credit for is he has made it painfully obvious what it means when red-pilled guys have field reports. And one of the theories that's come out of it is that you don't get to have kids, you get to sire children. Which I hate the word sire, but that's how it was phrased, so whatever. I think that's a whisper post. And a lot of guys keep thinking this idea that they're my kids. They're not your kids, they're her kids. Are you sure about that? Yeah. Ask the judge. They're hers. You have to... I've had experiences where guys coming to me where their wife was a flat-out drug addict. Neurotic drug addict. Not a pot to piss in, not a window to throw it out of. He's smart, he's switched on, he's stable, he has the opportunity for a good life. The judge would rather, hey, pay for her to take care of this kid, rather than, well, you got your shit together and you're a happy home life, why don't you have custody of the kid? It just won't. We're hardwired to give them the kids. Yeah, I went down the, dogmatic. I went down the Jack Murphy rabbit hole. How humiliating, dude. His ex-wife caught strays too. Yeah, the whole thing. Like, I did an hour on it, I think 2 weeks ago. And I'm surprised how much more, like, I didn't know about his earlier stuff when he was doing his real estate and how he was... But it's funny how the lies come out. So when I had known him, it was about his ex-wife absconded, took the kids, and the only way he could see his kids was, like, coaching baseball practice. But some Antifa person doxed him, and then he lost out on that because, Trump or whatever. Just turns out the reason he got fired from his job wasn't because of the Antifa stuff. It was because he was double dipping in the company and he scammed the DC government out of like $500,000. And the reason his ex-wife left him was most likely because he had this weird like cucking fetish thing and she was done with that. And the judge probably saw that and it's like, yeah, you're not getting the kids. But he latched onto the manosphere from it. So it's kind of neat. Like I didn't realize about that stuff. I took it at his word, but then when that stuff came out, I'm like, yeah, dude, just got to own this stuff. Like, you can't hide from it. And sure enough, 7 years he hid from it. Now look at him. Fuck you, Sidney Watson. Sucks, but he's a great example. Like, what is it? Everybody's mad at him for the cucking thing, but, like, Tate was acting like a trap online. Do you remember that when he was bragging about when he was first doing his cam girl whoring thing? That the guys would pay a lot more money to talk to the girls? And so he was basically sexting dudes like it was IRQ or ICQ in the 2003, telling guys what they need to hear to get off. And I'm like, he seems to walk perfectly fine after being a trap online. So, I mean, like, it's not like doing embarrassing stuff is a deal breaker. Stan the Milkman. Hey, are you my dad? Thank you for the $10 Australian chats. You were right now, or you were right about how building a new social circle is one of the best things you can do. 12 months, but now got a group of guys and girls 10 years young getting laid in the group, and second, third out of the group. I'm 33. Aw, dude. I love hearing shit like that. Good on you, man. Yeah. It's just one of those things. You grow, you advance. And the best part is you just got where you're going, and you're 33 now. You got like 10 years to ride this wave. Your peak is going to be long. You got 10, 15 years to ride this wave of awesomeness. Enjoy it. You fucking earned it. Cheers to you, man. How did you do that, Stan the Milkman? Dude, that's everything we're talking about here. Go through the sidebar, the stuff I just told you about. You go through there, you apply the stuff to your life in a way that matters towards your own goals. You'll get there too. And that's the thing. I bet you anything, Stan is not the epitome of Chad that you're thinking of. He's probably a normal, average guy, just like me, just like you. Average guys can get extraordinary success right now because most guys just suck. They really do. Do what you gotta do. But again, being a piece of shit's an opt-in problem. Nobody forced you to eat that second bag of Doritos that night. Nobody forced you to never work out. Nobody forced you to smoke weed all day. Nobody forced you to only play Xbox and never take time out of your day to laugh at chick talks. Nobody forces any of this stuff on you. It's all an opt-in problem. And yeah, individually, one shitty meal or getting drunk one time is not going to affect you that much, or even if you drink like often or... But yeah, if all you do is negative stuff and no positive stuff, yeah, it's going to come to bite you in the ass. All a guy's problems, opt-in problems. We're going to move on. What do I have next on here? Oh, did I bite off more than I can chew? Act too fast. We're talking about Rambo. The hell is Rambo, you ask? Does anybody in the chat remember Rambo? I haven't talked about that in a long time. Going Rambo. Turns out there's a thing about it. Going Rambo is a specific thing that we've noticed for guys that are running their male action plans. That's the terminology for your red pill journey. Your map, which unfortunately is only the second most popular use of the term map, and I don't want to use the first one. Is that minor attracted whatevers? And yeah, it's when guys just listen and they do whatever they want. Whatever somebody tells them because they just want somebody to tell them what to do. It's the trad problem. It was started from a character. His username was Alpha as Wolf. And I know everybody in the chat's heard me. If you've been here for a while, you've heard me talk about him before, but I love talking about him. It's such a great watershed moment for everybody. And he didn't realize, like, if you read most of the strategies, the field reports, theory around the red pill, you're going to see some of it's contradictory. Some of it like makes no sense. Some of it is the exact opposite of everything else. And you're like, that makes no sense. How can this be a coherent train of thought if half the stuff contradicts the other half? And like, that's the point of having your own mental point of origin. Because yeah, sometimes A is A and sometimes A is B, but until you know what you're trying to accomplish, you're not going to know the difference. So what he would do is he would just apply everything. If somebody said, do dread, he would do dread. If somebody said, go do this, and do this, he said, do this. Didn't think about it, didn't calibrate. He didn't look at like what the results are. Hey, if I act more like dominant around my wife, is it more successful? In his case, it wasn't. And everything to him was like a shit test. And everything to him was a contest, a battle of wits, like a scoreboard. Who's put up more points? That's the more alpha one in the relationship. It culminated in a story of where his girl was like fooling around with him, and she's like, oh, not now, we got to do something. He's like, all right, but you wear something sexy for me later and we'll call it even. She's like, all right. Later on that night, she actually shows up in a negligee, tells him to come to bed. He literally got everything he wanted. And then he gets up there and then she complains about his hands being cold. So what did he do? Did he warm up his hands? No, he took that as a shit test. Starts, goofing around, getting a little bit handsy. It's like, oh, you can't, I'm alpha, I'll have hands as cold as I want. When in reality, she was trying her best to blow him wearing sexy clothes, and he fucked it up because he was so worried about being alpha. Thinking about all the stupid shit test stuff that you see from like Goofball MGTOW 42069. To the point where she got mad enough to like throw out the abuse word. And then he lost his mind. He blames everybody. He's like, this is all your guys' fault. And everybody's like, you're listening to people too much. You got to start focusing on you, dude. And we had to kick him out. But that was going Rambo. And a lot of guys think Rambo just means doing things too fast or making too strong of a change too early, and you got to take it slow and easy. And I was like, no, that's not fucking Rambo. That's just because you're too much of a pussy to jump in and get things done. Do what you have to get done. Going Rambo is just not paying attention to the consequences of your actions. That's it. So a lot of guys ask that. Did I bite off more than I can chew, act too fast? What they're saying is, am I not able, like, am I too scared of the consequences of my own actions in order to keep going? That makes sense. It's like, all right, well, if you can't handle, you know, nuking a shit test, or if some girl comes at you with like, you know, wanting comfort, but she hasn't slept with you in 3 months or something like that, maybe she doesn't deserve comfort. So just say no, F you. No, done. Girl gets mad. She starts crying. Are you able to handle your girl crying in front of you? A lot of guys can't. And it's not even a failure of man thing. We're like hardwired. I can't remember who did the study. It was some behaviorist thing. I'll say B.F. Skinner because I can't remember, and everybody knows Skinner. But it was a guy will actually get a fight or flight response chemically. Like your adrenaline starts pumping up at the sounds of a woman screaming, at the sounds of a woman or a children crying, or at the sound of a dog barking. And it was kind of funny. So it's like literally hardwired to simp for women because it was useful back in the day, not so much now. So if you're haven't sufficiently, you know, overcome your instincts, advice is the worst vice. Oh, Brett, that's awesome, dude. I like that a lot. Advice is the worst vice. I'm actually going to tweet that out. That's so good. Here, Brett, I'll even give you attribution to it because I think you deserve that. Having said that, I think you need a C in there, not an S. Let me see. Yeah. Brett. There you go. There's your NFT tweet, sir. I like that, though. Advice is the worst vice. I'm going to make a topic on that one day. That's that catchy of a title. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. The Rambo guy. Not calibrating. Yeah, so if you can't put up with a girl crying in front of you because you break down, you feel angry, then yeah, probably going a little too fast. Slow down. Realize your issue now is getting over your instincts. You can do it. I mean, if guys can avoid sugar and eat healthy and lose weight, even though our bodies are hardwired to want to get as fat as possible, you can handle this. But if you're just saying that because, well, she's getting mad and I could tell her to shut up, but I don't know but you just don't know what you're doing, then yeah, you're just going to go Rambo because you're not calibrating. But that's why you can't treat this stuff as advice. It's not advice. It's just people saying, what is Rollo, his quote? I always steal his quote on this one because it's better than what I say. It's not advice. It's not prescription. It's description. That's the one. Or prescription? Prescription? Is it pre or per? Help me out in the chat here. You guys got a bunch of Englishmen here. Yeah, give me a massage to pay me back. Then later, she drunk drives me back to her place to smash. It was great. See, Stan's figuring it out here. Give me a massage, pay me back. He's flirting. It's not, and everybody's like, well, isn't that a covert contract, or isn't that quid pro quo? You can't negotiate desire. He's like, the desire is already there. At this point, he's giving her plausible deniability. This is actually a more sophisticated version of, hey, do you want to come back to my place? I got to feed my fish quickly. And then you go back there, you're like, you don't even have fish. He's like, yeah, but you know, you want to come up for coffee. It's not about the coffee, and everybody knows. But that's, to a guy who gets it, that looks brilliant. To a guy who doesn't get it, you're like, that's horrible. Why would you manipulate her like that? It's like, she wants to be manipulated, dude. It's not his fault he's attractive. It's not her fault she's willing. Let things happen. Yeah, oh, don't get me wrong. You're like, have you seen the obesity rates? It's not just the U.S. The U.S. is just ahead of the curve. It's every developed nation. In fact, they usually use that as a metric of when a developing nation has become first world. Is that once diabetes rates hit a certain threshold. They're like, well, these guys are officially developed. Yeah, most people can't get past their hard wiring, and maybe you can't, and maybe you can, but once you understand your limits, I'm one of those guys, they actually flared me back in the day before that stupid purple pill debate asshole got my account banned. They called me Hardcore Red, and I was like, oh, that's adorable. Or Hardcore Navy Red. But that was just because, like, I had nothing to lose at that point, so I'm like, fuck it. Was it hard-headed? Yes. Did it work? Yes. Is there better, softer ways to do it? Probably. Did I care? No. And for me, I'd rather rip off the Band-Aid. Some people like doing it gently. There's no right or no wrong way. It's all about how much time you want to invest in something. But for me, I've picked up and retooled my life more than once in my life. So that's why I've lived in like half of the country already, 4 provinces and that. We've moved a bunch. We're probably going to expat again if this COVID stuff's going here. So I got no problem starting life again if I have to. And you shouldn't either. Yeah, PUA Rule 47, no chairs in the bedroom. Prescription, thank you, Baron. All right, so it's pre. So that's Rambo. What do we have for time? We can go a little bit more on that. It's only been like 10 minutes or 8 minutes. What was my other point? Oh, yeah. So for the Rambo thing, a lot of guys don't realize it's their own behavior that creates their prisons. And if they're not self-aware enough to understand the consequences of their action, they miss it. There's a concept here. It's like reward good behavior, don't reward bad behavior. And guys will listen. It's like, yeah, it sounds good. Don't reward it. Yeah. But they misunderstand what rewards mean. So, for example, let's say your wife gets really bitchy at you and you yell at her. You guys have a big fight. It's actually come up quite a bit in the Patreon. We actually do this like individually, like as a group. Field reports, total discretion, because we talk about some pretty raw shit there, right? But it's good. Check it out if you want. Links in the description. It's totally worth it. I have to raise the prices on it, though. So sometime this month I'm going to go up. So if you do it now, because I think it's $5 now, but I have to raise it a bit more because it's growing so fast that it's taking up way too much time. So I want to have it pay a little bit more because I'm losing time and I have to drop some other projects to get there. So you've heard it here first. Anyways, it doesn't charge to the end of the month, so you try it out, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you take off. As long as you leave before the end of the month, you're fine. What was I talking about? Oh, the neurotic behavior. So it turns out attention is a reward. Wife yells at you, so you start yelling back. Tensions rise. Everybody's mad. Somebody breaks a dish, punches a hole in the wall. You guys go to cool off, have great sex later. Why is my wife such a bitch? Well, it's because you're encouraging it. You're rewarding it. What do you mean? She yelled at me. I'm pissed off. It's like, yeah, but you're engaging it, aren't you? Yeah. She's such a bitch. See what I mean about field reports, though? Who's the main character? If that's the answer to, like, why did you enable that behavior? And it's like, well, she did this and she did that. It's like, who's got the frame there? If you want your wife to stop yelling at you, stop giving her attention and validation when she yells at you. So what, just leave the house? Well, I mean, that would be a start. That's pulling your attention. Leave the house for a bit. Maybe sometimes it's just not getting riled up. Maybe it's sometimes about just setting her straight. Maybe it's spanking her. Playfully. Maybe it's putting her in a room and locking the door. Maybe it's taking your kids out to get ice cream. There's 100 different things you could do. But until you know what you're trying to accomplish, you're never going to know. And again, if it's bad behavior the wife is giving you, how do you fix that boundary? If she's giving you good behavior, how do you reward it? But Cold Hands Boy, Alpha's Wolf, didn't realize that because he's going Rambo. So in this case, he's like, yeah, we'll smash later. Just wear your sexy stuff. And she did that. She literally did exactly what he wanted in the way that he wanted. He was getting everything he wanted. And she's like, your hands are cold. All he had to do was make a joke about warming him up. Put his hands up. And it's like, all right, I'll be hands off for a bit while you warm me up. And then, maybe she goes to town on him, whatever. Bam. You just rewarded good behavior. She realizes, oh, wow. I come here. I dress sexy. I treat him well. He's a great guy. Next time she wants to do that, she's like, oh, yeah, we'll have another one of those fun nights. That's great. Instead, he punished good behavior, and now she doesn't want to give it anymore. A lot of guys kind of don't pay attention to little things like this. So it's kind of funny. And there's a mids watch coming out, I don't know, probably like 10 episodes in from the last 20 I think I'm going to go here, about cyclic behavior. I think this one was about cyclic behavior in women, but I'm talking about just in general, like the roadmap for red pill guys. So it starts off, girls that tend to be neurotic, insecure, and control freaky tend to attract a certain kind of codependent Captain Save-A-Ho type of guy. Like attracts like. Neurotic girls love guys who help them feel safe and comfortable all the time. But those guys have dead bedrooms and they try to work on it. So they finally learn what bad behavior they've been enabling, what nice guy behaviors they have, and the reward systems that they're using accidentally, and they stop doing it. Pause it here. Sky Drummer Kit, $5 super chat. Thank you very, sir. I've gotten more results from being harsh. It'll either create a break and work over time, or they're too far in. Just don't bother with those. See? That's the point. Is it bad to be harsh? Well, it depends. What are you trying to do? Shy right now, he's trying to get, I want to see you at your worst as soon as possible. And so for him, he's like, yeah, be harsh. Nuke all the shit tests. Nuke all the comfort tests. Let's see who you really are. And then it comes mask off. And they either stop doing their shitty little games that don't work for you because they want to keep you around and you've already discouraged bad behavior, or they don't want to and they're not fully invested, in which case he knows not to latch on to it too much. That's exactly. Now, for some other guys, being harsh is probably the worst thing you could do. But at least he's calibrated towards it. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's trying to achieve. And when it happens or it doesn't happen, he can tell you. He doesn't have to ask the internet, hey, did I do this right? Because he knows what he's trying to achieve. Did I achieve it? Yes. Oh, I did it right. If he did it wrong, it could be like, okay, so what is, like if it didn't achieve his goal, he's like, all right, so this part kind of messed up. I think I got an idea. What are your guys' thoughts? And that's what other guys will say, well, I did this harsh thing too. Try this one instead. Or this one worked for me. Give it a shot. And then you can tailor it. But like I said, this stuff's not hard. You just have to really shed your ego on it. Anyways, so guys finally realize they're enabling bad behavior and they're not rewarding good behavior in the relationship way. So what happens first? Everybody's like, well, problem fixed, right? She's acting bad. I stop rewarding it. She stops acting bad. She acts good. I reward it. She starts acting good, right? No, not right away. And a lot of guys don't realize that it gets worse before it gets better. It makes no sense. It seems counterintuitive, but I'll walk you through it. I tell you a story about my one fat dog, Hitchens. He's a big guy. He's like Italian Greyhound. He's like 17 and a half, almost 18 pounds. It's huge. Iggy's are supposed to be 12. Big fat fuck. His nickname is Fatty, which is funny since his ribs are showing, but he is the taller dog. He can actually get up to the counter and he can just barely reach his wrist there. So if there's anything within the first 4 inches of the counter, he can swat it onto the floor. One day, we had a loaf of bread too close to the edge. He swatted it down, ate a whole loaf of bread. Absolutely insane. It was like his body weight in bread. He felt sick, threw up everywhere, gave us a good lesson in that. Now, every time we come home after walking from the dog park, he runs straight to the kitchen, jumps up on the counter, tries to look for it. We got to get him off. Get out of there. Get out. Bad dog behavior, right? He will look for 100 different days, every day. We never have anything close to there. He's always checking. But there's always that one time. The one time we forget we left like a cookie there or something, or the bag was just that slight bit too close. And so for that 100th time we do it, he's like, got it. Now he's just reinforced that behavior. So now when we go to correct his behavior, does he go look on the counters less? No, he looks more. He looks at 200 times now because, yeah, it works. I just got to be persistent. And that's the exact same scenario here. It's like a perverted version of Pavlov's dog. You've been rewarding bad behavior for so long that when you stop doing it, the person who's hooked on a certain rut, a certain way of doing things is like, well, that's weird. Usually when I act like a bitch, he enables me with better emotional support and behavior, and he gets angry and we get emotions, and it feels great. I must not have been bitchy enough. And then the wives get worse. And so a lot of guys come back and like, I don't get it, man. I'm doing everything right. Why is she worse? It's like, yeah, that's why you can't expect this to work. You can't be like a 2-week ranger. Things get worse. You got to hold to your guns. Anybody here with kids probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. If they do some shit that their kids did or their ex-wife gets them to do, and then they try to correct the behavior, the kids act worse for a long period of time. But if you're consistent, if you hold frame, you have your boundaries, and you just stick to your guns, people will eventually get better. Just like Drummer Kit was saying in here. It either creates a break and it works over time, or they're too far gone. And that's the thing. It's either they're too far gone, they've seen your bullshit for too long and they don't want to change, or eventually they sucker into a whole new normal. Now that can happen gentle or that can happen hard. The gentle case is it just literally happens over time. It's just like not linear progression, but one day everything just settles in, it's normal. Great. What tends to happen though is something called a main event. And that's the bad behavior continues and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse and it's not working and the girl's lost, like a hamster maze they called it. The hamster. Until at a certain point, a girl switches from indirect communication, which is the way girls naturally communicate, to direct communication. And direct communication, when a girl does that, it's like the last stop. That's like the guy threatening to fight you when a girl's speaking plainly and directly. That's why can't girls be direct? I don't know. Why can't guys grow tits? I don't know what to tell you. Now, what happens there is the direct communication will usually come out in a situation called the main event. And I hate talking about it because everybody starts looking for main events and everything, and it's not the case. Main events are always a surprise. It's like pure frustration. It's almost like the equivalent of an ultimatum for a girl where you are becoming attractive, you are more attractive, maybe you're attractive now, and she doesn't know how her current mental models fit into your life. And so it comes off as a big snot bubble, crying, the mother of all comfort tests, they call it. And generally speaking, if the guy passes that test, you hold frame, you offer comfort, things go great. I mean, not even necessarily offer comfort. Sometimes you can nuke it, but it's one of those things you gotta, like, by that point, the guy gets it. So your response should and will come naturally. That's why there's no, how do you handle a main event? It's like, by that point, if you're having one, you shouldn't have to ask. And if you do ask, then you're going to fail it anyway. What comes next is something called a come to Jesus speech. And a come to Jesus speech is in very plain terms. It's actually talking, communicating. Who'd have thought, huh? From a position of strength. The power dynamic has shifted. She realizes you don't need her, but you want somebody valuable in your life. She wants to be the valuable person in your life. She doesn't know how to get there. In plain language, you just lay it out. This is how the relationship's going to go going forward. It's going to be great for everybody. I'll see you there. If you don't want to go, I understand. Don't hit your ass on the door on the way out. Usually at that point, things start going great. She knows now how to be valuable inside of a healthy and good relationship. And you have established what you will and won't put up with. Bam. After that day, relationship goes great. Absolutely great. Now, who's talking about jabs in here? God damn it. Sancho Bohemian, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thanks for making this info to be retained in humor form. Yeah, well, what can I say? If you can't, it's games. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. I still have runway and taken advantage of it. 30s never look so great. Oh, dude, just wait. Everybody always thinks life is over by 30. No, man. 30 is being 21 years old, but with money. It was fucking awesome. I even had a freak out moment when I turned 30. I remember that. I got blackout drunk, embarrassed myself in front of a buddy's wife. I ended up puking, throwing up, rolling into my house. It's a fun story. I'll tell it some other time. But yeah, then I woke up at 30 and I'm like, oh, it's actually not so bad. It's about the same, except for, now I'm just going to randomly go on a vacation. Sounds like fun. I wish I could have gone on a vacation at 21. Yeah, the 1,000-foot tow rope. I mean, that's going to be off topic now, but you kind of get it, right? Yeah, technically they can. I mean, whatever. Need at least 150 likes in these videos. Come on, viewers. Oh, dude. Holy jeez. I never checked the numbers on these things. We're up to like 220 people. That's pretty good. Those are rookie numbers, though. We got to get that shit up. But I'm not doing red meat, so I don't expect... What does like Rolo get on his? Like a couple grand? Because he's shitting on Michaela Peterson. Like this if you don't want me to shit on a single mom on camera and then kick her off for a White Claw. You guys got 2 channels to go check that out. You can watch Rolo yell at Peterson's daughter. I'll be your dad, except for I'm not taking no diazepam. Or you can be the fresh and fit ones and just get off my podcast. Dude, this stuff, how can you not laugh? This stuff is so over the top ridiculous. I can't believe people like buy into the hype. It's like 1990s wrestling. I'm not seeing... Everybody's got a pseudonym. Everybody's got a gimmick. It's like Macho Man versus Roddy Piper hitting Jimmy Snuka with a coconut. And you're just like, oh. Yeah, we're making lives better. It's like, sure. And I'm Doink the Clown. Rolo's videos don't get enough likes versus the content he delivers. Fun fact on that one, too. That's why I'm doing Chick Talks. And Rolo's got like the women not held responsible. Can't have that. It's because you guys don't watch the shit if we don't. Like I watched one of Rolo's clip things there where it's always like Rolo with his angry face and the thing. It's like, women is bad. Click on this. And then you click on it. He's just doing his standard like monologues based on his work. And I'm like, well, so what's the difference here? He's like, yeah, you gotta kind of trick people to come in and listen for their own good. That's why you gotta act like a clown. And I'm like, oh, fair enough. All right, well, I'll laugh, get drunk, and watch some TikToks, and then you guys are blowing it up. It's like, Jesus. But what I gotta say, thank you. Whatever. The nachos reference, right? Nachos. Do you just want that shitty restaurant or the shitty airport nachos, or do you want some good ones? I'll do my best to make sure you guys get some good nachos anyway. Like this shit if you don't want to see me shitting on XXX likes go burr. Yeah, I'm glad you like them. To be fair, they are kind of fun. But I don't know, from my perspective, I put the least amount of work into them, not because it's just they don't require as much for editing and that, just jump cuts, right? Like if you watch some of my vlogs, I put some real effort into the cinematography and the lighting and the editing and that, and it's just like, okay. But whatever. Passion is passion. If I did it just for the likes, then I wouldn't do it. I should almost actually, you know what's good, Justino? Everybody's been asking for another cooking video. I might just make nachos. Do this as a topic. Actually, thanks. You guys got me inspired here. All right, next topic. Where did I leave off? What's the time? 1:35. We'll do 1:36. Give me like another minute here to shoot the shit until we get to the last topic. We're probably not going to make it the full 2 hours. I usually cut these off at 90 minutes, but we're having so much fun and dealing with so much shit, then why wouldn't we? Failure as success. What the fuck is he talking about? So, every red-pilled guy, whether it's in business, whether it's in love, whether it's in marriage, whether it's in fashion or fitness, gets to the point where he succeeds at whatever his goal was and turns into a raging asshole immediately. What the hell is he talking about? I'm gonna let that sit in for a minute, actually. Raging asshole. You can't tell him shit. He's smarter than the rest of you guys. Rolo's an asshole. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. You plebs. It's like the fat guy who loses weight, then turns around and all the other fat people is like, you fat fucks need to lose some weight. I did it. Why can't you? Why aren't you exactly the same as me? Be like me. It worked for me. Problem with that. I mean, it's not a problem. It's kind of like the natural process. Everybody goes there. I was cocky as fuck after my main event. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was fighting with Jack 10 and the other guys in the Married Red Pill. I had this shit down. Ultimate CAD, same thing. I'm not putting up with your bullshit. Actually, I think I had a quote of his. Let me see if I still have it saved on my tabs here. It was on a fight with... There it is. Yeah, so I was... Yeah, so Ultimate Cat, if you don't know, his wife cheated on him, and he basically keeps her around, but he's demoted her to plate. He's fucking a lot of girls. And one of these guys is like, you still give a lot of advice for a guy still living with the wife who cucked him. I guess it's all good as long as she's cucking you now from inside your frame, right? And he goes, you're recycling the same shit, man. Try a new one. Impress me. And then they have like this big fight of that, and he's like, eventually one of the mods, Bogey D6, one of my favorites, good buddy of mine. Like here we have, for the 7,000th time, Chad using his covert contract of validation. Covert contracts because authority comes from merit, not from a stupid flare next to your name. The validation that he seeks and insists everybody knows, but doesn't want to flare here because, you know, everybody will attack him, doesn't really mean anything. Cad, or the Chad in this guy, speaks from a position of authority because he's married, he's got his shit together, lives life on his terms. And that's always funny because then everybody tries to find some kind of like, but like that's the cockiness, right? Everybody's like, I don't agree with that. And that's why I always laugh at the Jack thing. I'm like, it's not the first guy that like had a wife run off on him or cheat on him or do some weird embarrassing stuff and then doesn't stick it out, but on his own terms. It's his life to own. You don't get to judge him, right? But yeah, so cocky, can't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. All of a sudden you're better than everybody. And a lot of guys, like, it really rubs guys the wrong way. And they start having fights and then outrage happens. But at the same time, I kind of remember when it happens that it's just this part of the process. And so you're just like, all right, you got 6 months, do your thing. I'll see you on the other side, bro. And then they talk a lot of shit and whatever. And then, yeah, 99 times out of 100, the guy calms down. Afterwards, they kind of settle into their new way of doing things, their new method of success. But there's a fair amount of guys who don't. And I know it's an old reference, and I know I'm like beating the dead horse here, but it's the greatest example that I think I can use for guys that'll know. Anthony Dream El Presidente Johnson. Perfect example of it. I hate bringing him up, but it's just so goddamn good here. What was the thing? So he had his little 21 convention, and it was like, it started off doing okay, positivity grift, have some pickup artists and that. And it started going bad and downhill and downhill and downhill after like 7 years or something like that, to the point where he's like asking for investors because he can't make enough money to actually hold a convention anymore. And then, here's and then his wife leaves him. What did it end up is he found out his wife was a prostitute. and they split up, and then he had that and then he's like got really sad at himself, found Rollo kind of give him same way as I'm talking to you guys about the map here and the red pill journey and all that shit. Rollo, like, you know, here's how you do it, here's how you do it, here's how you do it. Gets over that shit. Great. Hey, I'm doing a conference. We're running into troubles. We'd love to have you down there. He's like, you know what? I'll do it for free. Fuck it. I want to see you succeed. Heartfelt man. So this guy goes from not a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and then all of a sudden, it's like 200-300 people go down. Like, I want to see Rollo. Fills a fucking thing. Makes a fortune. He's like, this is awesome. Finally gets that business success he's been looking for. And all it took was like being at the other end of like Hooker Wife Alley. Straight to his head. Soon as that first one goes, the second one, he's all these plans to do stuff and nobody can tell him what to do. And everybody's like, you don't really want to hang out with Cernovich and Molyneux and they're kind of bad for you. And you don't want to deal with like Roosh and that. He's like, I don't care. I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me what to do. Then starts biting the hand that feeds him. You know, F you, Rollo. You can't tell me what to do. And to be fair, that originally would have been just like a thing. You're like, all right, give it 6 months. But the problem is he pushes too far, starts harassing Rollo's family and that. So we all F off. And then it goes back to nothing. I think his last convention, somebody was telling me like there was 12 speakers and like 11 guests. It's like, eek. But that's the problem, right? Success turned into failure right there because you kind of get high in your own supply. You buy into your own marketing. You don't. And I don't know if there's like a system to it. It's almost like a matter of chance whether you manage to settle into your new success before you nuke it because of your own stupid ego, right? And in his case, he didn't make it. Other cases, guys like me, we made it. I don't know what to tell you yet. We actually don't have enough. And it's impossible because there's no self-awareness to it. So we're probably never going to get field reports from guys who sort their shit out, become successful, and then turn into a cocky asshole. Because it's just like a natural process. I've never seen a field report on this stuff. I just know from experience of me and other people, but nobody writes it down because we always kind of just see it as an afterthought. The closest you're going to see to it is me talking about it from my blog on 30 days before I retire from the military, 2 years later. And it's not mentorship either. Like, mentorship will get you to that success point, but once you're at that point, you're on your own, man. Like, there's nobody you can talk to about how do you handle success. Because right there, you're in a mindset where you just, nobody tell me what to do. I know what the fuck I'm doing. It's like, all right, you got it. And most guys will let you, give you enough rope to hang yourself with. It's just how we act because, you know, no good deed goes unpunished. Like, I think Rich is a great example of that, too. Like, he was giving tons of business advice to him. Carl, too. Taxes, accounting, legal stuff. Between those two and Rollo, I think Anthony Johnson was, like, set to make himself successful. But then he just, got cocky, can't tell me what to do, nuked his entire thing, back to failure. And that's where you get that weird gamma male energy. Because he's like, he tasted success and he has nobody to blame but himself. But because you have an ego, you have to blame everybody else around you. Remember that unhealthy narcissism I was telling you before? About the one-man play and everything else is a set piece? Yeah, in his case, everything else is out to get him. Like, for a while there, his Avi was like that John Wick poster of everybody pointing a gun at his face. It's like right there sums up why you got to be careful with success. But I can't tell you this. You just have to learn it the hard way. Hook. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Great practical advice on assertiveness, boundaries, mental point of origin, etc. Thank you very much, sir. I learned so much from you, from becoming a much better version of myself. Hey, can't complain. More switched on dudes mean I can quickly switch over to just goofing around on the internet. So I hope you bring about 10,000 people with you on that journey, sir. But yeah, knowing you earned it is a different feeling of success. No, it's the same feeling. I'm telling you, that's the problem. Knowing you earned it. I'm not saying it's not deserved. I'm not saying it's like imposter syndrome. I'm saying you specifically earned it. You earned every step of the way. That's where the ego and the cockiness comes from. But that's the problem because it's an alienating thing. It allows you to stop looking like that introspection you had before. When you ain't shit, and that's okay, you're self-reflective. If something goes well, something goes wrong, you don't think, I'm awesome, or I'm an asshole, or these guys are out to get me. You think, okay, what happened? How do I deal with it? How do I fix it? Bam, 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 bam. That works great when you're at the bottom of the fuck pile. That works great when you're in a marriage of desperate, quiet desperation. Doesn't work so great when you put in the work and you achieve success. That's when the cockiness comes in. That's when the stupidity comes in. I would argue, and I don't know if it's a good example because I don't follow it enough, but when Roosh, like, I think he was doing well, and then he did his Jesus pivot. But the problem is he wasn't at the top of the world when he did that pivot. It was kind of on the downslide of things, and then he did the pivot. So it's not the best example. Unfortunately, like, Johnson's the best example I have, because it's just so goddamn obvious. Like, he's literally a template in how not to be a fuck up. And I should thank him for that, but I don't want to give him any credit for anything, because, you know, gamma males, what can you do, right? Moral of the story, actually, you know what? Don't Be Soy has it exactly right. The moral of the story, don't step on your own dick. Pretty much. But I can't, you're never going to get somebody to tell you this stuff. The best I can do is put the thought in your head so that when you do get to that point and it does happen to you, that little nittering voice in your side of your ear goes, hey, yeah, don't you remember that thing Buddy was saying back in the day? I think you're kind of there now. Ooh, Stan the Milkman. After Cuphead, try Oxygen Not Included. I'll have to, man. Yeah, whoever suggested Cuphead, by the way, for the Digital Ryan channel, it's awesome. Best advice you could have give. Here, by the way. Here. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I got a second channel. This is where I'm kind of hoping that things go, because I can't stand the drama. I'll do it because it's a job and have to. But I would love it if you guys all became switched on and then we just could have fun. Right now, it's just gaming, Minecraft and SMP. We sit there, swap notes, keep it casual. It's a smaller channel, so I can be kind of more free and a little more like unscripted. So it's kind of nice. Come join it if you want. It's kind of fun. But yeah, you guys recommend stuff. And it's funny because as I'm doing the content and talking to you guys, for the most part, it's the chat sorting problems out in their life. And it's always like mundane stuff too, like fixing cars or about the Browns, which I keep saying are from Cleveland, but apparently aren't. I don't know football too well. Or is it Cincinnati? I don't know. Good point too, Jack. Oh, you're on the Don't Starve kick right now, huh? Yeah, I remember that one was fun. Those what do they call them? So I was like Binding of Isaac and that, all the computer, like the randomly generated stuff. It's always fun. Excuse me. D Digital, $5 super chat. Great show. Thank you very much, sir. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do my part to make the show good, but you guys do your part to make it good. Do you try Outwards? I've never tried it. I hate to say it, but I'm not a gamer. So like there's so much stuff that I don't know what's out lately. I could talk at length about Nintendo and Super Nintendo, but yeah, a lot of guys are like, have you seen this new game on the Steam? I'm like, I don't know. You got it right this time. The Browns are from Cleveland. Yeah, well, I mean, they suck, so why should I pay any attention to them? Did they ever win? Did they ever win something? Or did they have their Anthony Johnson moment, or are they just like the Toronto Maple Leafs? They haven't won shit since like 67 and nobody cares. Roos claiming to have gotten too old and he lost interest in PUA. Now, see, that's probably the most honest thing I've ever heard from him. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Like, I did pick up from... I started when I was 23, and I stopped around 29, 30. Because once you get good at it... I guess, you know what? I'll make this the final topic. We'll add a little impromptu thing here. 148. It gets old after a while. The hell am I talking about there? Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, you can do pickup forever. Troy, the fact that he's managed to stick through it to his like late 40s, I'm just impressed. Most people, it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's a skill. And then, oh, wow, you get to do these tips and tricks. Let's do some openers. Let's do phase A2. Let's do phase S1. You know, let's practice the good opener. Let me try to fuck up the system here. And you get like training wheels and you go through a whole system. And it's how do you start the interaction from an opener all the way to smashing. It's great, works. And then you practice it and you realize where your weak points are. It's like, maybe my openers are bad. Maybe I have a hard time breaking the touch barrier and doing Kino. Maybe it's difficult for me. I get a lot of last minute resistance and I always screw it up at the last minute. But you kind of break down where your problems are in dating. And then you focus on those until you sort those out. And then you realize you got the system. I got it and it works. It's good. I'm sorting this problem out. And then you start to have fun with it because you're in the novelty phase. Once you become good at a skill, you're like, let's try my best for an opener to get somebody to get pissed off and tell me to go after myself. And you realize when you come at somebody with the right confidence, you're like, it's actually really hard to get blown out on an opener. if you come at it right. And then you realize like all these training wheels things are coming off, and you're understanding the underlying principles behind why you would want an opinion opener, or why you want to wait for 3 indicators of interest. A lot of that stuff was just training wheels. You take it off, you're skipping steps, you look for certain signs, it becomes more intuitive. And then you have your novelty phase where you just lay in pipe left, right, and center, and it's so much fun. You get your 1,300 girls. And then you get to a certain point where, okay, I've got the skill, the novelty phase is over, and what do I want to do with it? And that's where most guys end up, just leaving the pickup space after a while, because maybe you got a plate. I mean, at the time, for me, and I talked about this in the book, where I had a few plates. There was the dog walker, there's my girl, and there was this stripper. Name was Jade. Her actually real name was Jade, go figure. She's a happy mother right now. I think she's had her 2nd kid right now. Definitely doesn't look the same as she used to do. I don't know if her husband knows that she used to be like a pill popper, but whatever. I'm not here to slander that. She's somebody's mom, right? You have to treat moms well. Mark Martin, thank you for the $5 super chat. What was your take on the passing of Tom Torreo? I wish I knew him better. I really do. Actually, you know what? Put a pin in that. Let me finish this thought on the pickup getting old, because I want to give that one like a proper answer. You're not going to like it, but it'll be what you kind of need to hear, I think. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, somebody gets kind of old, and at the time, the dog walker was fun, but I remember, like, I treated her like trash, and she loved it. The worse I treated her, the more responsive she was. It was just one of those girls I guess needed to be like that. I don't know why. Perfectly normal girl, no tattoos, hair was normal. None of the red flags you'd ever seen. It just so happened she had a fetish for being treated like garbage. And I remember at one point I looked over, I'm like, why do you even let me do this to you? Like, I broke character. And then I kind of knew at that point, like, all right, well, now it's done. Now I broke the kayfabe, the imagination. And she's like, I don't know. She ended up moving on. I think she ended up like, I think she's still with my wingman, Mike. I haven't kept up with him because he blocked me ever since. He slept with one of my friends and she made him cry. And then after that, he was done with me. So I don't know. I'll probably do some catching up, maybe make a sequel to that book one of these days. Thank you, AC. Your content helped me to rebase myself. Glad it helped. Glad it helped, man. But remember, you did all the heavy lifting. Anyways, so yeah, at that point it was that. The stripper was fun enough, but kind of a pain in the ass. And then my girl, she was also fun. You know, we did CrossFit, she'd throw up in the bushes. We were drinking the night before, brought her to like bondage parties and stuff like that, and had her like when I had diplomatic functions on the ship, she'd come make me look good, wear an evening gown, shit like that. I think I plated her at 19 at the time. At that time she was like 22, 23 maybe. And I just realized like I had been plating her for like a year, and there's not a single thing she did in that entire year to like make me think of like a red flag. Like the stripper was into pills, and I'm like, I don't want that. Kind of flaky, I'm not into that. The dog walker, it's like I can't role play abusive husband for like 40 years, man. It's not for me. But this one was just nice. Nothing wrong with it. I had her parents, they liked me, hanging out, it was good. She was always fun, she's always up for a good time, never a drain. She got along well with my friends. She didn't want to be like clingy or anything like that. It was like, well, I'll try dating her, we'll see what happens. I put her on like 90-day probation, and she just laughed. We were just having Caesars, we were hungover. 12 years later, I think it's either the 12th year or 13th year, I'll have to do some math. It's one of those things they don't tell you if you've been doing things long term, is that you like forget the numbers, you kind of get vague. So I know it's over 11, but I couldn't tell you exactly how many at this point. And yeah, I think most guys, at least most mentally healthy guys who have done the work, they've internalized their mental point of origin, got shit like that together, they kind of figure this stuff out for themselves, right? And they're like, okay, I've dated 50 girls, 100 girls, 30 girls, whatever the number is. To the point that you can spot one that's got potential and one that's super invested in you and one that's not, and then you make better decisions. And then generally speaking, you guys just opt out of the sexual marketplace. There's no tips and tricks. It's literally just being a really, really good judge of what's good for yourself, having strong boundaries, and then have an eye for talent. And if somebody wants to be in your life, they'll generally accordingly or act according to your boundaries. Is that effective? Yes. Is it good as marketing? No. Is it hard to do? Probably. It takes time, takes effort. Nobody wants to take time and effort. They want the answer now. Right now, I want a wife. And that was Roosh's problem. Is he never fixed his internal shit. He did the same problem as Mystery. Never fixed the demons or any of that shit. And so by the time he got the notch count expertise in there, he never had an eye out for investment or talent. It was always just about the notches, and he kind of lost sight of that, which sucks for him, but you know, at least I get something to shit on. So Mark, I'm gonna get to yours in a sec. Wet Beaver looking for wood again. 25 HRKs. Thank you very much. What is realistic success in pickup? Like X girls out of 10? It's up to you, man. I'll put it this way. My metric for success was, and this is important enough to me that I made it chapter 1 in my book, was the day I was going out with Mike and we were hitting on girls and we were running this set on these two friends. And I was talking to the girl, I was running through the set and she just stopped me in the middle of it. She's like, you don't really like, and I had forgotten. Not only had I forgotten that we had slept together before, like a month previously, I didn't even recognize her. Like she's bringing, and I'd like ask her about the night and I slowly pieced together. It's like, oh wait, that was you? Yeah. And at that point I'm like, because I was always hooked on the notch, like gotta get the higher notch count. You gotta get the notches. And then I just like, once I met somebody that I completely didn't even recognize existed, I'm like, well, maybe the notch count's not as important at all because I might have forgotten. Now for me, I think that was, and even now, I want to say it was 27. But that means that maybe she was 28. I didn't know. We still slept together afterwards. But then I realized, yeah, it's like, why am I chasing notches? If I'm not going to remember it, what's it matter? And, you know, I moved on, had some dating at that point still on, but I didn't really care about the numbers past that point. Now, I don't know how that gets for you. Royce talks about the 13 girls. I think, yeah, 13. So you get a good example of like 2 super hots, 2 like slumming it type uggos, and then mostly average girls. But he goes, after 13, you're good to go. I know Myron likes to say 50, which I'm like, whatever. It seems like a bit. You must be a slow learner if it takes you 50 notches to figure out the notches don't matter. But hey, nobody ever said you had to be smart to be good with women, right? But to be fair, there's not a specific number. It's going to be a shift in your mental models. Once you realize sex is just sex, it's not that important. And you just go and you live your life. I don't want to make like a big deal about it because that's the point, is that once this whole thing stops becoming a big deal, none of that meaningful sex trad bullshit and none of that, you know, notch is a notch thing. You just put it in an adequate place in your life with adequate importance based on adequate needs for your adequate goals. And then you move on with your life. It's like anything. When you ride your bike, do you think left pedal, right pedal, or do you just point and go? Once you're at that point and go place, that's it. Now, if you get there with a notch count of 3, power to you. If it takes you a notch count of 200, well, hey, you know, better late than never. But there's never going to be a number. It's never going to be a number because you'll know the answer. You never have to ask somebody. JD, 5 pounds. Would you be up for taking a glance at the compilation of short story pieces I've wrote? They're for a larger project, and I'd like your thoughts. Oh, yeah, JD, you know I've always got time for you, bro. Just let me know what the goal is here, because if you don't tell me what it is you're looking for feedback on, all I'm going to do is talk about structure and feedback and if it's readable. Very generic stuff, so let me know what problem it is you're looking to solve, as opposed to just do you like it or not, because it may or may not be helpful to you. And then Sancho, $5 super chat. Oh yeah, I learned about Rolo when I bought No More Mr. Nice Guy. It was recommended in Amazon as the Godfather Red Pill. Yeah, us married Red Pill guys, I think we're to thank for that because we were pushing the shit out of that. Anyways, so back to the Tom Torreo thing. I actually got out of the game when London Day Game was good. I was always a night game guy, so I didn't get to know Tom Torreo. I didn't get to know the London Day Game model. I talked to Troy a lot, and I kind of asked him how things happened while I was gone. And he kind of gives me some things about it, and I watch, and I get it. It's kind of nice. I think I picked up Roosh's Day Bang during the Married Red Pill time, so I'm like, well, I got to recommend day shit to guys, so what should I look for? And his, I kind of liked it the most, just because it was like hooked on phonics, paint by numbers, day pickup. But yeah, so here's the thing. So all I know about him is that well-respected, all the peers liked him, and he's got the same problem Rolo has among the day game community, is that everybody just steals his content, claims it as their own, but they fuck it up. So I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. And then he commits, I think it's suicide, wasn't it? At least from what I understand, he committed suicide. Correct me if I'm chatting, I'm wrong. Right here, my thoughts on it is like everybody is going to be scavenging that corpse like a bunch of vultures. Like, I know at the end of that Rule Zero episode, John took a dig at him to talk about how great he was. And I'm like, I don't know, it seems a little tasteless, but whatever. I'm pretty sure every pickup artist is going to talk about it from whatever angle. Like, this is why you need better inner game, or whatever their pet project is, whatever their marketing shit is. They're going to say, you see, had he done what I wanted you to do, he'd have never ended up like this. The trads are like, see, if he'd have found Jesus, he'd have never done that. The pickups are like, well, if he did it in day game like I did it, he never would have got like this. And the media is going to be like, see, if he wasn't a misogynist, he'd do like this. And everybody's trying to force fit this man's life into their fucking marketing funnel. And I find that shit horrible. But didn't you just do that with Roman McClay? He killed 6 people and you're jamming him into your marketing funnel of laughing at dudes on TikTok. It's like, yes, I did. Because unfortunately, and this is the hypocrite in all of us, none of you guys are going to watch me unless I do. But yeah, I don't know. It's a choice I made, is that I'm not going to dunk. And it's something I learned from my grandfather and my grandmother. They were like God-fearing people, Baptist minister, raised on a farm, literally like the Norman Rockwell painting. My great-grandmother actually came to Canada from like the Underground Railroad shit. So, and they're like the adopted side of the family. And what was it she told me one day? It's like, you don't make fun of an honest man's dirt. Like if he has dirt under his nails, don't make fun of an honest man's dirt. Don't make, oh, he's just dirty, he's filthy. He's like, that's honest work and dirt. You fucking keep your mouth shut. It just stuck with me. And so I personally would not want to like force fit Tom's shit into my little marketing funnel, because I don't think he deserves it. He was an honest guy. He did his work. He did it to the best of his ability. He was smart. He was switched on. He knew what he was doing. You know, let the guy have some dignity. I'd say he fucking earned it. Now, Jack Murphy, he didn't earn shit. Clout chasing asshole, fucking delusional, completely clueless, scammy, grifty. Yeah, no. Open season. That seems rather objective. Who are you to decide who's a grifter and who's not? I don't know. I think it seems pretty obvious. You can kind of tell when somebody's in it for the grift and when they actually give a shit about something. You can like Troy or not like Troy, but he gives a shit. John gives a shit. Rolo gives a shit. I give a shit. Rich gives a shit. All the people and you're like, well, you're just saying that because you work with that people. It's like, no, I work with those people because I'm saying that. There's a difference. I remember I used to do shit with like Donnie and Myron and Jack and even the Tates. I'll give everybody a shot, but once I kind of get the idea that you're there for some bullshit marketing and you're like, the rule 0 isn't even an attempt. So I'm like, yeah, I got no time for that shit. I have no problems doing it. Yeah, people were already bootlegging my interview with him as soon as the story broke. Just horrible. Oh, you did a story with Roman or Jack? Or with Jack? Which is kind of neat. Or you mean with Tom? Yeah, cocksuckers. Put some copyright shit on that, Jack. Get that revenue. Let them keep it up, but steal all the revenue, man. Go for it. All right, Sancho, again, $10 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. You're a god and a scholar. Absolutely right. I was zeroed out 1 year ago. I still think that way, so I can keep pushing. I noticed that now I have a foundation I feel like I'm running. Absolutely. There's another situation that guys in your situation find themselves in too, where it's like, you know, that zeroing out, it gets you angry, and that anger gives you a great motivation. You make a ton of work, and you're like you said, you hit the ground running, you're doing awesome. A lot of guys though, once the pain is kind of far enough away, they're like, they don't know how to have discipline. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general. Maybe it's something you're gonna have to look out for in the future, maybe not, maybe you've already solved it, who knows. And then because they're like, well, I don't know what to do now, they actually fuck up their life just so they can get another like stab at the anger face. I need to get pissed off so I can motivate myself again. And then they run through that stupid cycle of fucking up their life and then fixing it again. And that one, I've never seen people do that more than once or twice because it never works out too well. Just something interesting to be aware of. Wando, €2 super chat. Nutshell, this one read, ego is the enemy. Oh, nutshell of this one. Yeah, it is the enemy. And then Sam Whiskey. Dude, long time no see. I haven't seen you in a while. I once saw birds fighting over French fries in McDonald's parking lot. You could learn a lot from the animal kingdom. I like that. Anyways, guys, we're running over time now. There's going to be Rule 0 on John's channel. I'm going to try to be there, but I might not make it. There's a bunch of shit here I have to deal with right now, but it's predictions, advice from the Red Pill. I know a bunch of the guys are going to be there. I think Rolo's gone right now with like George Gammon and that, so he's going to be out. I think I'm out. Carl's not back. Rich is gone. But the rest of the guys are there, so it's going to be an awesome time. And if I can slip in there, I will. But if I go much longer, we're going to step on their time, and I don't want you guys having to choose between red-pilled content creators. That's not fair for you. So I'll do a quick little thing in the chat here. And unlike last time, by the way, apologies, guys. I accidentally deleted the timestamps on the last video before I before I put them onto the video, so I'm making the effort to do it this time. There we go. So at least when you come back to this one, if you want to talk about a specific topic, it's there for you, right? I already let YouTube take those videos down, but the original interview has been put on private too. It was on Tom's request to take it down until further notice. Don't know what to do now. Well, Tom's not here. You do what you want. Like, I'm assuming it's a tasteful enough interview that you guys had normal talking about stuff. There's nothing too controversial on that. I mean, Tom's material is still out there. And if there's good day game shit on there, I think it's on you. Like, fuck, you put in the work. Unless you guys are sitting in there talking about shit that's going to make him look like, yeah, I'm going to murder 6 people. And then, you know, he starts talking that Roman McClay shit. But yeah, there's no reason to be like Hunter Drew. I remember that he had like 3 hours of podcasting with Roman McClay. And then as soon as the serial killer shit came out, him and Zuby and everybody starts deleting everything. They're like, nope. Roman? Who? Never heard of this guy. Yeah, don't hide from it. But then again, it's your content. So you do what you want with it. All right, so yeah, modern life dating, John. All right, taking some time off. Monthly consultation now, focusing on, well, that's good. Rolo's in Houston. Ah, that's where he is. That's probably one of the places, if I do expats, if I expatriate, Florida and Texas look fun. Plus, in my girl's industry, I think she's got places that she can work that are in there too, so that'll be good. So she doesn't have to give up her career and become like a stay-at-home mom for a YouTuber, because that's fucking weird. And then Europe is the other option. Luckily enough, they've got like a whole bunch of places there too. So, but we just want to be able to travel more to figure out where we're going to go. So February, it looks like, hopefully. Yeah, it was a great event for you out of respect. Well, why would you want to hide that shit? Like, it's a great interview and he did awesome on it. Would you not want good memories of Tom to be out there if you loved and respected Tom? It's like, why not? Nick Krauser fell out with Tom because apparently Tom stole Nick's method and Tom published without citing Nick. Oh, that one there. You know what? I love that shit. All right. Fuck, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'll talk about the stealing content thing. That always makes me laugh. Yes, as a professional courtesy, it's good to give people credit for stuff if you take their work. Absolutely, but it's not required. All this, like, self-improvement man stuff, it's technically the same type of industry as the fashion industry. If you guys don't know, did you know you can't trademark or copyright a shirt style or a purse or a pair of shoes? Like Zara, the biggest company in the world right now for fashion, basically take high fashion, steal it, and turn it around and sell it really quickly. I think the biggest claim to fame was Madonna was doing a tour, and the outfit she wore on her first show, Zara had it in the stores by the time she did her third show. Because you can't copyright it. Fun fact, do you guys ever notice how on designer shit they always got logos on it everywhere? Like Louis Vuitton has LVs all over their fucking purse. Versace has Versace written. When you see John's outfit in his shows, it's like just covered in labels and branding and shit. That's why you can actually trademark and copyright and protect a word mark or a logo. But you can't do it a purse. So what Louis Vuitton does in order to protect their purse is they slap their logo on it everywhere. So you can't copy their designs because their design is a word mark, a walking word mark. Everybody thinks it's about branding. It's like, no, man, it's about IP, intellectual property protection and shit. And the manosphere, for lack of a better word for it, is exactly the same. There is no protections against somebody stealing Rational Mail shit wholesale. Other than, like, you know, peers. We can call 33 Secrets a piece of shit for stealing Rolo stuff without attribution, but he can do it and nobody can stop him. The only defense you really have from that is to continually innovate. And that's why, like, clothing does that, because you can't just throw logos on all the clothing. So what they do is, like, every year they come out with something new. Every 6 months they come out with something new. Yeah, you can rip off a Louboutin pair of shoes this year, but next year it has a completely different look. So you have to rip off that one and it becomes like a cat and mouse game. And it's, funnily enough, it actually provides a good mechanism for innovation. So like everybody is always chasing the final frontier. So it's kind of neat. I can see the problem with it, but I can also see the benefit in that it keeps everybody on their toes. Like, I always joke about this, like, nobody can steal my content because I'm just doing so much so often and so fast that by the time somebody steals something, I've already moved on to the next topic for a month now. Like, you watch this shit from 2 years ago, somebody steals the first Red Morning topic or Red Oceans and Blue Oceans, it's like, it's a little late, dude. We're talking about this shit now. So it's good. It always keeps you learning, always keeps you getting better. Even though I'm at this point where I would like to call myself self-actualized, red pill, whatever you want to say, top tier, Chad, I don't really care. Still gotta hustle, because if I don't, somebody's gonna steal my content and call it their own. Somebody else will have his own You Ain't Shit and That's Okay book, and I'm like, that sounds familiar, you cocksucker. Anyways, enough. John's gonna be on, or Rule Zero's gonna be on in like 10-15 minutes, and I gotta go. 260 you guys, thank you so much. Share this on whatever platform, because God knows. The only problem we have right now isn't that the content isn't good, even though, or it's not helpful, it's not entertaining. The problem is I don't do enough red meat to get more people here. So basically the only way this channel grows is for you guys reaching out and word of mouth. So I do want to give heartfelt appreciation for that. You guys are doing the work. And what can I say? Thanks. And then for the 165 likes, also thank you very much. I always joke. I remember there was a couple times there where we actually had likes and concurrent viewers evened out, which I think is like unheard of on YouTube channels. So the fact that you guys were able to do that fucking blew my mind too. So like if this thing gets to 217 likes by the time the live stream's done, it'll be like an impressive feat. I don't think anybody does that. I don't even think it's possible on YouTube. Anyways, I saw that tatted up chick on with Rich Cooper, God help her. Who? I have to go see what you're talking about. Anyways, I don't really give a shit about tattoos. BC people, everybody's got tattoos, so you just kind of accept it. But I'm going to let you guys go. Rule Zero's coming up. Grab you guys some breakfast. Grab you guys some lunch. Yeah, all my friends in their 80s, 30s thinking they're old now. Poor bastards. You've already made a great ratio. Absolutely, Alex. Anyways, T-Rex is for sure. Oh, yes. I keep forgetting to put it in the chat. I am the worst marketer ever. The merch channel. You get it yourself. We have everything. Don't eat paint. The T-Rex army. If you don't know what that means, just ask somebody in the chat. It's a little no nut November joke. All these guys talking about how they don't want to nut in November. Well, if your arms are too short to reach, then you can't fail. Don't fail. That's be up next. You know what'll fuck up an alpha lion? A giraffe. And then, of course, don't eat paint. The mug, water bottles. I think you'll like it. I'm really proud of the stuff. And to be fair, the shit's been selling like hotcakes. I actually underestimated you guys at first, and I sold out first day, and I had to talk to the supplier and put in like better orders and get the shit going. So, hey, taught me a lot. Everybody got your Christmas gifts. I'm going to let you go, though, because I keep rambling on about something new, and if I keep doing this, yeah. Oh, Governor Megatron. That's right. You got the... Guys, if you don't know, Governor Megatron got the first piece of merch out. Put it up online. Wears it to the gym. It's awesome. I'm actually super proud. Anyways, I'm going to go. Enjoy yourselves. Cheers.